Thanks, Adam. Louisville getting set for their trip. They're actually already there because the game's in 20 minutes. In Death Valley, it's Louisville at Clemson. Louisville, one of the best defenses in all the land. How will Deshaun Watson fare? Find out next here on the U. Adam. Yeah, Adam, you were wondering about Devontae Parker. He's not expected to play today. Was in street clothes for pregame warmups. Mike Williams will play. Great, fine receiver for Clemson. 13 minutes away here on the U, guys. Hey, coming up, Dabo Swinney and Bobby Petrino in their first battle as ACC foes. It's Louisville and Clemson coming up from Death Valley in just a little bit. Welcome in. 3 touchdowns less than a minute to go in that one. Vic Beasley, 28 career sacks. Yes, tied for most in school history. One more, he'll be all alone. It's Clemson and Louisville, 4 minutes away. Coming up, Lorenzo Malden, one of the reasons that Louisville leads the nation. Total defense, rushing defense, getting it done, Kevin Carter.
Louisville has an impressive defense. Charlie Strong's thumbprint is still on this Louisville Cardinal team.
It's Louisville at Clemson. We will see you at halftime as Bobby Petrino squares off against Dabo Swinney. Bobby Petrino this week recently comparing Death Valley to the Carrier Dome. We'll see how that shapes out today. Anish.
The Clemson fans, Matt, had planned a silent out for this afternoon's game. So much for the sound of silence. Death Valley at its deafening norm for Bobby Petrino and Louisville. The Cardinals will have to combat the crowd and find a way to slow down Clemson's freshman phenom, Deshaun Watson. You're watching the ACC on ESPN. It's the first ever meeting between Louisville and Clemson. Good afternoon, Anish Shroff alongside former first-round pick Kelly Stauffer. If you've watched Deshaun Watson over the last 3 weeks, you're watching the genesis of what could be a very special football career.
I don't know that impressive really states it properly, but there isn't anything that this young man hasn't been able to do when asked to do it in his first 2 starts. You can see right here, he's been off the hook against both teams from North Carolina. Not many missed decisions or bad decisions in there. 1 interception, but he really hasn't skipped a beat. I think the level of competition goes up today against Louisville's defense.
You mentioned the Louisville defense. This is a Cardinals team that comes in with what statistically the top defense in the FBS.
Yeah, and I think the epicenter of what Louisville wants to do defensively is Malden on the defensive side. Number 94 is an edge rusher. He's the stand-up guy outside when they want to bring extra pressure, but that's literally the guy that Deshaun Watson has to find every time he gets to the line of scrimmage. They have to block number 94.
Offensively, there's a lot of questions for this Louisville team, including who starts at quarterback. For more, here's the 3rd member of our team, Cara Capuano.
Well, Anish, freshman Reggie Bonifon will make his 3rd straight start at quarterback today for Louisville. Head coach Bobby Petrino told us Bonifon's athleticism and mobility at the position really give the Cardinals their best chance to avoid negative plays. Will Gardner had a strong week of practice. As he continues to recover from a knee injury, he's available, but Bonifon gets the nod. Cardinals wide receiver Devontae Parker also practiced this week, but he will not play today. Parker has missed the first 6 games with a fractured bone in his foot. The coaches decided he was just too sore to go. Anish?
All right, thank you, Cara. Parker still out. He has not played this season. Louisville won the toss, and the Cardinals will get the ball. Kick sails out of the end zone. A touchback in Louisville will start from its own 25-yard line. Cara told you about Reggie Bonifon, the true freshman out of Louisville. He only started at quarterback as a senior in high school, extremely green, but he's making his first big start on the road here. Started at Syracuse last week. Forget what Bobby Petrino says. That atmosphere does not compare to Death Valley. Play action. Bonifant over the middle, incomplete, intended for his old high school teammate, James Quick.
We talked about Bonifant, and he has a really, really nice arm. I was watching him in warm-ups, and he can flat out spin it. He's going to have to kind of withstand this early emotion in this game. This crowd is absolutely off the hook. And oh, by the way, Clemson's defense is playing at an extremely high level.
A gain of 2 for Brandon Radcliffe, who has really sparked this offense the last 2 games, back-to-back 100-yard games. He's become the lead back now for Bobby Petrino.
And Louisville has to be successful running the ball in early downs to avoid this down and distance right here. 3rd and 8 is really funneling the offense down into the mouth of the beast. This is where Clemson, in particular number 3, Vic Beasley right here, are really, really tough to deal with.
28 career sacks for Beasley. Bonifant with time, and that is incomplete, dropped by the tight end, Keith Tobridge, and it's 3 and out for Louisville.
And Anish, I think that's exactly the opportunity that Bonifant's going to have in the pass game. The tight ends in that intermediate depth against linebackers and nickelbacks, and that's a big missed opportunity early by Tobridge.
You know, those comments Petrino made about the crowd noise, blown out of proportion, but let's be real here, it's not close to what Louisville saw last week. Adam Humphries, the deep man for Clemson, fields it inside his own 30, makes a couple of guys miss. Humphries has the 40, cuts back to the middle of the field. Humphries inside the 35, down to the 30, still on his feet, and Adam Humphries is in for a Clemson touchdown. A 72-yard punt return for a touchdown by Adam Humphries, the senior from Spartanburg, South Carolina, and Clemson strikes first. Point after by Eamon Lakeup is good, and it's 7-0 Tigers. For Louisville, a rude welcome to Death Valley.
A journey to the next great championship in sports. ESPN, home of the new college football playoff. New Year's will never be the same.
A 72-yard punt return for a touchdown by Adam Humphries has given Clemson the early 7-0 lead. It was the first punt return for a touchdown by Clemson since C.J. Spiller in 2009.
Well, the rule of thumb is the punt returner has to make the first guy, and in this case, the first 2 guys miss. Adam Humphries is a really, really good open space receiver. The slot guy on offense and a return guy right here. Once he's into open space, it's just instincts take over. That's very well done by Adam Humphries right there.
Humphries had only been averaging about 5 yards per return prior to that 72-yarder. Louisville's got a couple of really good return men. And Brandon Radcliffe and Corvin Lamb, they're awaiting the kickoff. And they won't get a chance. This Clemson defense led by the 5th-year senior Vic Beasley.
Well, defenses work at their best when they have a guy that the defense or the offense has to scheme against. Vic Beasley is that guy here at Clemson. He's a rocket off the edge, great hands, great feet, and that combination makes him almost impossible to block at times.
Beasley tied for the Clemson all-time record in sacks, tied with Michael Dean Perry and the late Gaines Adams. Bonifon to throw on first down. Incomplete. The intended receiver was Tobridge, and it's 2nd down and 10. And this crowd is letting Louisville have it when they've got the football.
Yeah, they are into it. There's no doubt about that, Anish. And you can see the first down passing by Louisville early in this game, just trying to break a tendency. Their desire right now, and the thing they do best, is run the football. And they're going to have to run it effectively to be successful this afternoon.
Brandon Radcliffe, who's been a beast in the running game the last 2 weeks, in the backfield. On 2nd and 10. Give is to Radcliffe, and he gets nowhere. Tackled by Ben Boulware, who suffered a concussion last week, but was starting this week with Tony Stewart hurt.
Yeah, Boulware is just going to slice in from his middle linebacking position, and Boulware was going to be found inside in the middle and also on the weak side in place of Tony Stewart. Very good job of reacting and getting the difficult back to tackle on the ground in Brandon Radcliffe. Louisville has to locate number 3 in situations just like this. 3rd and long.
Beasley doubled that time. Bonafon's going to take a shot downfield for Quick, and he can't make the play. Quick had a step on his man, Mackenzie Alexander.
Yeah, Quick got a very nice release on the line of scrimmage in the press coverage against Alexander. This ball needs to be caught. If you want to win on the road in the ACC, you have to finish plays like that.
Kelly, we've been here the last 2 weeks, and we've seen Clemson jump on teams early. UNC, NC State, who was shut out a week ago. These early possessions can swing the game in Death Valley.
Yeah, and 2 early drops. That one by Quick, but the earlier one that should have been a 3rd down conversion by Tobridge.
And a flag on the play.
You can't make mistakes like that on the road to have a chance.
Start. Offense, number 4. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
What that penalty does is just gives Adam Humphries more room to operate when he settles under this punt right here. Not a stellar start by Louisville here this afternoon. We've been here the last 2 weeks, partner, and it hasn't been anywhere near this noise level.
They ran with some of those Bobby Petrino comments.
Fans don't need much to run with.
Humphries waiting at his own 42-yard line. Punt by Ryan Johnson, and Humphries will call for a fair catch at the 36-yard line. And we get to see the Clemson offense for the first time. Deshaun Watson, the freshman phenom, gets his turn when we come back. Anish Shroff, Kelly Stauffer, Cara Capuano, 7-0 Clemson on a punt return touchdown by the Tigers' Adam Humphries. First offensive series for Deshaun Watson. He has been on fire in his first 2 starts, really going back to the Florida State game, which he didn't start. And Mike Williams has been a big part of this Clemson offense and Watson's success the last few weeks. Watson, the true freshman, screen pass to Wayne Gallman, waits for his blockers, and he gets maybe a half yard. 2nd down.
And that was a play that we saw Chad Morris, the offensive play caller for Clemson, go to last week against North Carolina State. An extension of the run game, but this is the addition today. Up-tempo by the young true freshman quarterback.
Watson hands it off. Gallman again, and he only gets a yard. 3rd and long. Gallman making his 2nd start, provided a spark in the running game last week, and he's one of our impact players.
Yeah, the run game, and that spark you talked about is going to be important. And then the new best friend of the true freshman quarterback Watson is Williams there, and they have to locate 94, Lozo, and then Floyd. He's not only going to be at safety, but is at times going to be out as a cover press corner as well.
Watson off play action. Throws on the run. Incomplete. He wanted Artavis Scott. Make that Jermon Hopper, and it's 4th down. This is a Louisville defense, number 1 in the nation in total defense, and they lead the country with 12 interceptions.
And Deshaun Watson will see things today out of Todd Grantham's defense that he hasn't seen yet in playing college football, and that was a good example of it. They're going to hold the coverage until late, and then they're going to change the picture, forcing the true freshman quarterback to make a post-snap decision.
Here's James Quick from his own 10-yard line. Quick gets past one defender and then tackled at the far hash at the 15-yard line. A 6-yard return after a 52-yard punt. Well, these were the comments that Bobby Petrino made that got this Clemson fan base fired up. On coming to Death Valley, Petrino said it's something you look forward to and enjoy. It's going to be very similar to last week. That was a loud place. I don't know if it can get any louder. And even though the crowd wasn't that big, on that first third down and everyone started screaming and yelling, maybe it can't get any louder than that. He was talking about the Carrier Dome. A little different with 80,000 plus this afternoon.
Maybe it can't get any louder than that is this part of the sentence that really got him in trouble, because I would say it can't get much louder than it is right now.
Nice run there on first down by Brandon Ratcliffe, and he picks up a first down. And Louisville, after throwing it on first down on the first two series, they start out with a run.
And if Louisville can be successful on first down runs, they have a chance in this game today. And that was very well blocked. They had it up on the line of scrimmage, and then Brandon Ratcliffe brings a dimension they haven't had in the run game. Tremendous lower body power, but he also is a fast guy. Yards after contact are absolutely through the roof with this guy.
Bonifant on the delay, gives it to Ratcliffe using the stiff arm, and he pushes forward to the 31-yard line, a gain of 4. You mentioned that ability to break tackles. Jeff Greer, the outstanding Louisville beat writer for the Courier-Journal, charted this. Ratcliffe broke 27 tackles in the win last Friday against Syracuse.
And offensive linemen love the guys that don't need the run play blocked perfectly, and Ratcliffe is that guy for this team currently.
Back to Ratcliffe again, and he picks up a couple. Third down coming up, and Brandon Ratcliffe, one of our impact players for Louisville.
And we've already talked about Ratcliffe. He brings a physical presence into the run game, but also speed in the run game. And then Gerald Christian is the tight end that has to get to that second level. All the eyes are going to be on Vic Beasley. Grady Jarrett has a chance to be a big play guy today. And then the next guy in the box is going to be Robert Smith, spinning down from that safety position.
Here's the blitz on third down. Bonifant flushed, in trouble, and he's got to throw it away. Chased that time by Stephon Anthony.
And that was a good decision by Bonifant to throw that football away. Early in this game, you can't afford to make big mistakes, and nothing was there. And you can see Beasley was chasing down the quarterback from the backside, but it was Stephon Anthony, as you said, Anish, that did not allow Bonifant to get outside the pocket.
Bonifant has started 0 for 5 for the Cardinals. This is his third career start, a true freshman who did not enroll at Louisville until the summer, so he didn't have the benefit of spring ball like Deshaun Watson did. Johnson almost had that kick blocked. Here's Humphreys. He's not going anywhere this time. Good special teams coverage by Louisville after a 49-yard punt. Tonight at 7 Eastern on ESPNU, East Carolina goes to Tampa to take on South Florida. How good is this Pirate offense? They're averaging 581 yards per game. That's 4th in the FBS.
How about that duo of Cardin and Hardy? That is pretty impressive.
They've got their own Twitter handle, Cardi. That's their hashtag.
Yeah, I'll get on that when I get on Twitter.
That's not happening soon, right?
No, it really isn't. I don't know that we get that in our neck of the woods in Nebraska.
Watson on the pitch. And looks like he kept it there, no gain. Looked like he was going to toss it to C.J. Davidson, just tosses it to himself.
And in the end, it was a quarterback-designed power run up the middle, but this is a very disciplined Louisville defense, and they're fast. It's going to be hard to get this defense out of position on misdirection.
Play action. Watson taking a shot downfield. He's got Hopper, and Hopper drops it.
And you can see Charles Gaines is giving Hopper an earful, and I don't know why you would say that. Obviously, Hopper doesn't finish the play, but Gaines' reputation is as Mr. Trash Talker. You can see right there, Watson, the young quarterback, knows that they just let one get away. Those are the plays the last 2 weeks that they were hitting almost all the time. They let one get away there.
Chad Morris told us Clemson will take about 3 shots downfield per quarter.
That's one.
High snap. Watson in trouble. Chased. On the run. And he's got to throw it away. So early on, we're seeing Watson struggle a little bit for the first time in his 3 starts.
The defense that Louisville's going to throw out there is a complicated scheme. Remember that Todd Grantham, the defensive coordinator, comes from that Nick Saban lineage on the defensive side, and it's an NFL-esque approach. Very complicated, very multiple, and they're going to disguise coverage, disguise pressure, and right now, Deshaun Watson is having trouble figuring it out.
Bradley Pinion on to kick it away. Good punt. James Quick recovers it after the initial muff. Quick makes a couple of guys miss, and then finally ankle tackled by B.J. Goodson at the 35-yard line. A 56-yard punt, a 15-yard return. We'll see if Louisville can get its offense going when we return.
First and 8.
Dak Prescott might be your Heisman frontrunner. Meanwhile, for Louisville, Will Gardner, who missed the last 2 games with a left knee injury, proclaimed healthy by the coaching staff this week. But Reggie Bonifant getting the start for the Cardinals. The coaches like Bonifant's dual threat ability. And Bonifant, who's yet to complete a pass, throws on first down, and that is caught by Charles Stanberry, in the tight end, fights his way across midfield on that far sideline for a gain of 17. First completion for Bonifant. He's now 1 for 6. Deshaun Watson off to a slow start. He's just 1 of 4.
That last play is the result of a decent run game on first down the last couple of drives. You boot off of that and have a successful pass play on that one.
Cardinals in Clemson territory. Bonifant on the quarterback keeper, and he dives to about the 42-yard line, a gain of 5.
Well, that's what Kara referred to at the open of this game, is that's what number 7 brings to the game plan that Will Gardner does not possess. It's the ability to get something done in the run game with your quarterback being a viable runner of the football.
Bonifant will hand this one off, and Radcliffe runs into a phalanx of defenders. Picks up 2, third and manageable coming up for Louisville.
And 3rd and 2 is the way that Louisville can make hay today offensively. You get in 3rd and 6+ when it turns into almost exclusively a pass down. Very tough sledding against Clemson's defensive front 4.
Here's Radcliffe. No, Bonifant kept it. They sold everybody on the play action, but it's incomplete. 4th and 10.
The play action, because this may have been decided as a 4-down territory before that play. You can see the great ball handling by Bonifant. Hides the ball behind his back. Had a lot of people in the stadium fooled, except for the coverage of Clemson, and I think this is the result. They go for it now on 4th down. That decision was made on the play before.
Louisville 10 of 13 on 4th down this season. Radcliffe in the game at tailback, 3 wide receiver look. And we've got a timeout by Clemson and Dabo Swinney.
Timeout, Clemson.
Dabo Swinney in his 6th full season with the Clemson Tigers. He is 31-1 at home against unranked teams.
And I think
Petrino.
Go ahead. Well, I think the desire to go for it, that decision actually was made on the play before. You know, they went for it, tried to disguise that play-action passing game to hit the home run, full well knowing that they were going to go for it on 4th and 2. The thing about Bobby Petrino, when he's had extra time to prepare, I think the number is 30-10 when he's had extra time to prepare. Remember, Syracuse and Louisville played last Thursday, so he's had extra time. We'll see if that plays out here this afternoon.
You know, with Petrino, there has been some frustration on his end. This is not the offense that we're used to seeing out of his team. He's had to scale it back. And defense has been the strength of this team, and you have to play to that strength. And to Petrino's credit, he has. And this is an interesting call. Maybe this goes to, hey, I know the defense is my strength. Maybe I'll punt and play the field position game.
Yeah, and I think he had a change of heart, ironically, because Clemson called the timeout.
Ryan Johnson on to punt it away. The only touchdown in this game on a punt return. Adam Humphries of Clemson took it back 72 yards. Good punt by Johnson. It lands inside the 10-yard line, and it's down right at the 9-yard line. A 31-yard punt, no return. And we talked about this Louisville defense in the open. The defense is still not allowed a touchdown. The touchdown in this game on special teams. So that streak's still intact. They've been outstanding in the red zone. And again, #1 in the nation in rush defense and total defense.
And the game plan today is going to be this. They want to stuff the run and force Watson to throw it. But when he throws it, they want to affect him. And what does that mean? A, you want to hurry his throws by getting pressure. And B, you want complicated coverage on the back end to create hesitation.
Watson, quarterback keeper, spins across the 10-yard line to the 11, a gain of 3.
You know, Anish, the thing that I think that Louisville's defense is going to try to exploit today is I think they really like their matchup on the line of scrimmage. Louisville's defensive line against really a thinned-out offensive line for Clemson.
2 reserves out for Clemson on that O-line. They're only about 6 deep. 4-man rush. Watson under pressure, chased by Malden. Gets away, floats one to Hopper, and it's intercepted by James Sample. The 13th interception by Louisville this season.
When the play breaks down because the quarterback is hesitating, then what kind of a decision does the true freshman make? We haven't seen him in this position often. Malden gets pressure. The impromptu play leads to a turnover right there. Sample is more than happy to take advantage of it on the other end.
Sample, the transfer from Washington, who also spent the season at American River Junior College. 3rd pick of the year for him, and Louisville in business. Radcliffe on first down. Nowhere to go, no gain. And we talk so much about this Louisville defense. Kelly, you said on the air last week, you thought Clemson had the best defense in all of college football.
I think they have all the ingredients to play at an extremely high level, game in and game out. That time we saw Grady Jarrett, number 50, from his 3 technique inside. Vic Beasley gets so much attention on the edge, and Louisville flat told us, if you guys are talking too much about number 3, that means we're losing the game. There are opportunities elsewhere in one-on-one situations on that defensive line of scrimmage.
Here's the corner blitz. Bonifant in trouble, hit by Beasley and throws it away. Vic Beasley closing in fast on the true freshman.
And once again from the backside, Louisville is working everything away from number 3, Vic Beasley, offensively. He will chase you down anyway, and there wasn't a lot of time to spare for Bonifant on that play.
Ball on the 25-yard line. How do you play this 3rd down? Are you thinking 3, given how good the defense has looked?
I think they need to roll the quarterback out and think about converting, and absolutely, I think anytime you can get points on the board against Clemson, you take the points.
Timeout, Bobby Petrino, 5:24 to go. First quarter, 7-0 Clemson. Louisville faced with a big 3rd down We check in with Matt Schick.
Thank you, Anish. Next week, Notre Dame takes on Florida State. Maybe looking ahead a little bit. Everett Golson, pick 6. Jeff Schottmer, his second pick 6 of the year. North Carolina up 14-7 midway through the first.
Wow. North Carolina leading Notre Dame. This is a UNC team that has struggled this season. It's been one of the more disappointing teams this season. They started in the preseason top 25. And if you remember, about 3 weeks ago, ECU dropped 70 on the Tar Heels. Now this crowd has been supercharged from the onset. Third and 10, Louisville. Play clock winding down. Bonifant steps up, quarterback run, and then he's drilled at the 25-yard line after a gain of 2.
And I think, Anish, the answer to your question is get 3 on the board. I think you take points against this defense anytime you can get it. And Bonifant has to understand, you have to stay inside typically against Clemson defensively because they are so good at setting the edge and not letting anybody that has the football get outside the hashes.
41-yard attempt for the junior John Wallace. Wallace hit a 51-yarder against Syracuse. Drills this from 41, and with that kick, Wallace has tied Nate Smith for second on the all-time list at Louisville for field goals made. 7-3, Clemson on top of Louisville. The Tigers forced the Cards to go 3 and out. On the ensuing punt, Adam Humphries took it back 72 yards for his score. That's the only touchdown in this game. And then Clemson answering back with a field goal off of Deshaun Watson's second interception of the season.
And Louisville got the field goal off that interception. You're exactly right. They're the updated stats, and Clemson hasn't really attempted to run the football a great deal, and I think Deshaun Watson has been confused on the back end in coverage, so he hasn't thrown the ball very well either.
Kelly, it's the first time we can say he has looked like a freshman.
And it's this scheme that Todd Grantham has in place. It's a complicated, really NFL-style scheme, and what I mean by that is they disguise things so well, and then they hold kind of a faux coverage on the back end, and then they change the picture right before the snap and make young quarterbacks make decisions once the ball is in their hand, not pre-snap.
TJ Green won't run this out. Clemson will start at its own 25-yard line. Watson, just 1 of 5, 0 yards so far, and he threw the interception, which led to a Louisville field goal.
And the interception was more about the pass than it was the decision, quite frankly. He just didn't float that ball over. There was room. The pressure by Molden is going to come right there. Good avoidance, climbs in the pocket, and then the impromptu pass, he just didn't throw the right ball. There was more room down the field, and he essentially underthrew that, and James Sample took advantage of it.
Watson, quarterback draw. Gets the perimeter, uses the stiff arm, and he's pushed out of bounds at the 34-yard line. It's a gain of 9.
And Wayne Gallman is actually going to lead the quarterback up inside. It's a power quarterback run, and that is by design. They infused and really gave a spark to the run game a week ago against NC State, and that's a good example of the play that got them going.
Handoff on second and short. It's Gallman. And it appears he's got enough for the first down. The run game has been an area where Clemson has struggled for most of the season. There were some promising signs last week against NC State when Gallman was the primary back.
And he gave them a little spark because he had a little shake and bake to him, which they didn't really have. But they're still looking for that guy. The big carry guy a year ago was Roderick McDowell, and quite frankly, they still haven't found the replacement to him.
Watson, play action. Check down to Gallman, was not a good throw, and he is devoured back at the 30-yard line. It's a loss of 5, and it'll be 3rd and long.
And it looks like Deshaun Watson is coming out. I think he caught a helmet on that play. I think we're going to see Cole Stout coming in, but they're certainly looking at that throwing right hand. We'll see if we can see it on the replay. Actually, I didn't see it on a helmet or anything like that. It's hard to tell where that came from.
Cole Stout in the game. Stout slings one over the middle, and that was nearly intercepted. Keith Kelsey, the middle linebacker and the leading tackler, nearly had Louisville's 2nd pick of the game.
A big missed opportunity, but I think Deshaun Watson maybe got hurt on the run, quarterback design run on the play before. We talked about the power run, which we saw a lot of last week, and it's that stiff arm, I think. Stiff-arming James Sample as he comes up to make that tackle, and fingers get caught in those face masks in those situations all the time.
Watson heading to the locker room right before the play was called, and Stout is sacked back at the 27-yard line. Sheldon Rankins got to the quarterback, and all of a sudden the momentum is just swung to the visitors.
Well, just like Will Gardner does not bring the feet to the quarterback position for Louisville, Cole Stout doesn't bring that to this Clemson offense either, and you saw it on that play.
Again, we saw Deshaun Watson scurrying off to the locker room right before that play was snapped. Bradley Pinion, not a good punt. He shanks this one, and it goes out of bounds. Let's see where they spot it. Only a 21-yard punt. It'll be spotted right at midfield. And here was Deshaun Watson moments ago. You mentioned after that quarterback run, he stayed in for another play, and then he shuttled off into the locker room.
And it definitely looked like that stiff arm into the face mask of James Sample is probably where that injury occurred. But Louisville offensively here in Niche, they need to make hay when they have opportunities.
Bonifant has time. He'll take a shot downfield. He's got Dominic Brown who makes the catch inside the 15-yard line.
The play action in the backfield, and then Dominic Brown actually took the fake and then runs a wheel route down the sideline. Very well disguised. Very good finish by Brown. Very good throw by Bonifant.
7th catch of the year for Brown. Bonifant rolling right, in trouble, steps up, and he's sacked for a loss of a yard. That was Gary Peters, the corner, who got to him.
And Wiggins, number 12, came from that nickelback position, or strong outside linebacker, and once again set the edge and did not let Bonifant get outside.
Louisville has been very good in the red zone this season. 27 trips, 20 touchdowns, and 5 field goals.
Red zone mentality. You have 3 on the board. Do not make an egregious mistake here.
Here's the give to Brown, and he's gobbled up. Back at the 15-yard line, a loss of 3. Corinne Wiggins led the charge.
You know, Danish, it's not only good defenses that just smother the opposition all the time. It's when your offense turns the ball over and you have to hold them out of the end zone like here. This will be a victory if Clemson holds Louisville to 3.
Bonifant all day to throw. Dumps it off. He wanted Brown. It's incomplete, and a flag at the end of the play.
Holding defense on an eligible receiver. Half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
And a Clemson team that doesn't get penalized much with a costly penalty here at New Life for Louisville.
And this came extremely late, deep in the secondary, and typically what happens, there was so much time given to Bonifant inside the pocket. And as the receivers started to work to their secondary routes, there was holding on the back end of that secondary for Clemson.
Normally it's, what, 6 seconds, right? Length of a play. After that, we start to see some of that.
Yeah, absolutely. When the secondary routes kick in, sometimes those guys in the back end grab jersey.
Timeout, Louisville. That is their second 30-second timeout.
So with 30 seconds to go here in the first quarter, Louisville down to its final timeout of the first half. But this is a big opportunity to silence this crowd.
Yeah, and you have to take advantage of these situations. Louisville is the underdog on the road. The way the underdog wins games like this is they take advantage of prime opportunities.
Tonight on ESPN, we've got an SEC doubleheader. Alabama goes to Fayetteville to take on Arkansas. The Razorbacks have lost 14 straight in conference. Ole Miss, who had the big win against Alabama last week, that was in Oxford. Now the Rebels go and take on Kenny Hill and Texas A&M. Ole Miss 5-0 for the first time since 1962. Is Mississippi now the nexus of college football?
Oh. Yeah, until this day's over, and maybe it goes back to somewhat normal. They're going to have their hands full. Both teams from Mississippi.
First and goal. The toss is to Dominique Brown. And Brown tied up inside the 5-yard line. Give him 4. Second and goal for the Cards.
That toss sweep is a favorite of Bobby Petrino in his play calling, and that is the play that Georgia gave a lot of trouble to this Clemson defense in the first game of the year. They didn't defend the toss sweep very well.
Ball on the 3-yard line. Goal line set and a whistle before the snap.
That's the end of the first quarter.
15 minutes in the books. Louisville and Bobby Petrino seem to have the antidote for this high-octane Clemson offense. The Tigers with just 5 total yards, but a special teams touchdown, the difference in this game.
Matt Schick here in the studio with this conference update brought to you by Dr. Pepper. Dak Prescott, a touchdown pass, a touchdown run. They're up 21-0 on Auburn. The last time Auburn trailed by as many as 21 points. Their only loss in the regular season last year to LSU. Certainly a hole to climb out of there at 21-zip. Anish.
Second and goal, Louisville, as we start the second quarter. Dominique Brown running left side, and he bullies his way into the end zone, and the Cardinals have the lead.
The power play once again. You see the fullback Lamar Atkins is leading up inside, and the tight end Gerald Christian, and very well blocked and not very well defended. Clemson did not have all the gaps covered on that particular play.
It got quiet fast. Point after by Wallace is good, and Louisville on top.
What we're going to have here is the tight end that's coming over Christians is going to back or block out, and then the fullback is going to lead up to the next level. Very well blocked. A power run game down on the goal line with a true fullback in the game, which we don't see very much. And oh, by the way, the Dominic Brown is 6'2", 240. They finished that play.
Brown's a guy who's had some fumble issues. If you remember, in the season opener against Miami on that Monday night, he was terrific. 143 yards on 33 carries. But since that 33 carry effort, he had just 45 carries since then coming into today.
I think the emergence of Ratcliffe certainly has been part of the reason, but Dominic Brown was their guy a year ago. So when he gets rolling, he's such a big back and is a very difficult guy to tackle and put on the ground as well.
We have an update coming up on Deshaun Watson. We'll get to Cara Capuano after the kickoff. TJ Green a few yards deep in his own end zone. And Green gets popped inside the 15-yard line. Deshaun Watson on Clemson's last series with a stiff arm on James Sample. He stayed in for one more play, then left the game. He went to the locker room. Let's go down to Cara for more.
Guys, as you ascertained, it is a hand injury for Deshaun Watson. He is out for the rest of the game.
Wow. That is big stuff. This Clemson offense moved to a different stratosphere when Watson took over as the starter. Cole Stout is no slouch, however.
Stout was the starter to begin the season. Pass deflected, and that was nearly intercepted.
The thing that is minimized when Cole Stout is in the game is the quarterback run game. And the reason that's important is when a quarterback is a viable runner of the football, the defense has to play 11 on 11 because of all the run gap responsibilities, which means you don't have coverage over the top a lot of times. That is a significant development.
Stout on the read. Here's Wayne Gallman looking for the edge and then driven out of bounds. It's a gain of 4.
In the pass game, however, Anish, Cole Stout has been there, done that. He's not a flashy guy, but he knows what he's doing. And ironically, he can probably decipher, discern, and handle the pressure looks and the disguise looks that Louisville is giving in the pass game.
He lost his job to Deshaun Watson after the Florida State game, but he's played in every game this season, and this guy is a fifth-year senior who spent 3 years as Taj Boyd's understudy. Stout under pressure, and down he goes. Jermaine Reeve on the safety blitz. Reeve making his first appearance of the season. He had been out since the spring with a knee injury.
Reeve is going to be the extra guy up inside. You can see Goldman right there, the running back. He didn't take the blitzer, so he has to be the hot outlet, and either the quarterback and or the running back were not on the same page and left Reeve completely untouched at Cole Stout.
And that's the second sack that Stout has taken since replacing Watson. Pinion shanked his last punt. And Quick signals for a fair catch right at midfield. A 39-yard punt. Louisville with the lead and terrific starting field position. Louisville with a 10-7 lead on Clemson. First ever meeting between these two schools. And the big story in this game, Clemson freshman quarterback Deshaun Watson out for the game with a hand injury. Kelly Stauffer, what's the impact not just on Clemson but on this entire game?
Well, Deshaun Watson brings the quarterback run game to Clemson offensively. And with that out, because Cole Stout really doesn't have that in his skill set. So what I'm going to believe we're going to see is actually Louisville defensively just teeing off in pass downs because they're not afraid of Cole Stout bringing that quarterback run game here today.
Clemson only 2 yards of total offense. Louisville will start from midfield. Dominique Brown, the running back. And it's Louisville's true freshman quarterback, Reggie Bonifant, chased by Garrett, finds Quick, and Quick has nowhere to go. Ben Bolaware got him right at the line of scrimmage.
You can see Grady Jarrett once again getting that pressure from inside, and then Bolaware cleans it up on Quick outside. All the attention being paid to Vic Beasley. It creates one-on-ones for the other guys across the line of scrimmage, and that's a tough matchup regardless of who's matched up on Grady Jarrett inside.
Vic Beasley lined up near side for Clemson. Quick screen, there's Quick. And again, good pursuit by the Tigers as Louisville just gets a minimal gain, and Quick a little slow to get up. The Clemson defensive backs, one thing they do well, they tackle well in space. Tigers showing blitz. Here comes the pressure, and Bonifon goes down. Jadar Johnson, the safety, got in there first.
And coming right up the middle, and Clemson was showing pressure from the get-go. Bonifon has to understand, I don't want to give up the sack and lose field position. Get the ball out. If I don't have number 18 blocked, it's on the quarterback to do something about that, and Bonifon did not do it on that play.
Ryan Johnson on to punt. Adam Humphries has accounted for Clemson's lone touchdown. He took a punt back 72 yards early in the first quarter. Good kick by Johnson. Humphries inside his own 10-yard line, and he is tackled at the ankles at the 6. A 52-yard punt. Clemson pinned deep in its own zone, and Deshaun Watson is out for the game. With Deshaun Watson out for the game with a hand injury, Cole Stout now the trigger man for this Clemson offense. He began the year as the starter for the Tigers, lost the job after the Florida State game for good, but now in a big-time pressure situation for Clemson with Watson out. Clemson from its own 5-yard line. This is C.J. Davidson, former track star, who walked onto the team, and Davidson gets to the 12-yard line.
Well, Anish, with Watson out of the game, what happens is Clemson really has to go back to a run game that was struggling. When they did not have the ability to run the quarterback before Deshaun Watson took over, this run game was anemic at best. And so now they have to find a way to move the ball on the ground against one of the best defenses they played all year.
Here's Davidson, cuts it back, and he spins forward for about a yard. It'll bring up third down. Stout, the son of Cliff Stout, former Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback from Dublin, Ohio. He broke all of Brady Quinn's high school records, most of them, I should say.
And Clemson desperately needs a conversion right here. Cole Stout needs to come up with a play and convert and just try to catch their breath once again.
Louisville with the best third down defense in the nation. Stout with time, has a pocket, throws in a double coverage, and that was nearly intercepted. Sample almost had his second pick of the game.
Sample did such a great job of spinning down into the box, and after the play action, he runs underneath the receiver. Look at number 2 in the middle of the screen, and then he diagnoses it and finds the football and almost makes a great play. Gaines was over the top, and in the end, Sample was underneath, and that was very, very well done by Sample.
And right now, Louisville has the field position game won. Good punt by Pinion that time, quick. Inside his own 40, lost the football. Loose ball, who has it? Clemson does. B.J. Goodson recovered it, and for Louisville, that is the 17th fumble this season.
And Quick just takes his eyes off the ball just a little bit too early, trying to make a big play, and in the end, coughs it up. You just talked about the field position game, and right now, Louisville just gave the momentum back to the other side.
Special teams has been really the difference for Clemson. It's why they're in this game early on. High snap, Stout. Underneath, dangerous pass. It's caught by Artavis Scott, but he loses 5 yards. Jermaine Reeve on the stop.
Reeve is coming up with some really big plays, and he was going to get more playing time from that safety position and really a nickel coverage position. Terrell Floyd, number 19, is a safety, but he may play outside at corner more often because they like his physicality outside on the edge.
On second and long, The give is to Davidson, ran into his own man, and Davidson falls forward to the 41-yard line. 3rd and long coming up. To go back to your point about the Louisville secondary, the safety position was a giant question mark going into the season. They lost Calvin Pryor, a first-round draft pick, and Hakeem Smith, who was an all-AAC selection a season ago. But that defensive backfield has been exemplary for Louisville so far.
Yeah, those two safeties you talked about now playing in the NFL were the best combination of safeties in all the land a year ago. So you're right, but I think there's some answers back there, at least through this portion of the season.
4-man rush. Here comes Malden. Stout hit as he throws it, and it's incomplete. Stout took a shot from the one they call Lozo, Lorenzo Malden.
Well, Lozo is the epicenter of what Todd Grantham wants to do defensively. You can see the stunt up inside. He chases.
That wasn't Lozo. That was 19 Floyd.
But Lozo caused Cole Stout to run out, and then Floyd comes up, really just seeing the quarterback get outside the pocket, and so the corner fires off the edge. Very good defense up front, and this is where Cole Stout lacks. Deshaun Watson could make some plays with his feet. You're not going to see that out of Cole Stout very often.
So the turnover has no impact for Louisville. 6th punt for Pinion, and that hits a Clemson player. So downed inside the 10-yard line. Off the muff punt, the Tigers had a chance. They could not capitalize. Louisville has it back with a 3-point lead. Statistically, Louisville came in with the best defense in the country. They're passing the eye test, too.
Yeah, and Lorenzo Malden forces Deshaun Watson up in the pocket and into a bad decision. And then right here, Cole Stout almost throws another one to James Sample. Very well defended. And then the all-out assault on Cole Stout, who's much more stationary than his teammate Deshaun Watson. You can see right there the stats update, and then not a whole lot happening in the rush game for either one of them. Pass game, Clemson has had next to nothing. Actually, they're going the wrong direction.
Louisville on 1st down. They'll hand it off. Dominique Brown gets a yard. Met by a host of orange jerseys. 2nd down and 9. You kind of get the feeling, Kelly, this is a game that's going to be decided by special teams and defense. A key turnover maybe either way.
I could not agree more. And I think the last thing you said, a key turnover either way. What kind of decision making are these quarterbacks going to have when they're going to be under pressure? Both defenses right now are playing about as well as any defense in the country. They were coming into this game. We haven't seen anything to disprove that thus far.
On 2nd down, there's Dominique Brown. He doesn't get much. 3rd down and long. Neither team has converted on 3rd down so far. Both teams are 0 for 6.
You can see both defenses are so good, so active on the defensive line of scrimmage. At the time, Deshaun Williams, 99, and Shaq Lawson, number 90, just chased the play down and smothered it from the backside.
Press coverage on the outside. Here's the blitz. Bonifant, the ball comes loose. It's a live ball. Who has it? And the officials are trying to figure it out.
And it was Gary Peters, the corner. Clemson has it.
Touchdown for Clemson. Well, there's your turnover, and it leads to 6.
It's exactly what you were just talking about. And Gary Peters, the firing corner off the edge. And Bonifant has to be aware.
Louisville quarterback over the ball, recovered in the end zone. Touchdown.
To the short side of the field or the boundary side of the field, you always have to be aware of the corner fire, and that's what Gary Peters does right there. Bonifant had no clue that he was coming. You have to take a peek at that before the snap and make sure that that corner's not coming, and Bonifant was totally caught off guard. What a big play by Peters.
Peters forced it loose. Clemson recovers.
Louisville fumbled the ball. It was recovered by Clemson in the end zone. That play is under further review.
And they're going to take a look at this last play.
And I think, Anish, one of the questions they have to answer is when Bonifan's hand came forward, was it empty? I mean, that's really the deciding factor between a fumble or a pass. And Peters gets there, and that ball's well gone.
That's a fumble.
That's a fumble. Now it's only a matter of who recovered the fumble in the immediate aftermath of that play. And the ruling on the field was that Clemson had it. And
after further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. Touchdown.
Dabo Sweeney has to like it, and Clemson for the second straight week has a defensive touchdown. It was Vic Beasley last week, and it's Grady Jarrett this week recovering the fumble. And Jarrett is a guy that defensive coordinator Brent Venables calls the best player on this defense.
Great defenses score when your offense is struggling.
There is a flag on the kick.
Offside. Receiving team. Penalties decline. Try is good.
Point after is good. The penalty was on Louisville. 14-10 Clemson. Let's check in with Matt Schick.
All right, thanks, Anish. Notre Dame has Florida State next week. They realized it won't mean a thing if they don't win this thing. They were down 14-0. They've scored 21 straight. That's Greg Bryant into the end zone. 21-14 Irish, but North Carolina has a second and goal inside the Notre Dame 5. Anish.
All right, thank you, Matt. Here, Clemson has scored both of its touchdowns from sources other than the offense. And Adam Humphries' punt return for the first score, and then Grady Jarrett recovering a fumble in the end zone for Clemson's second score. And the Tigers, despite less than 10 yards of total offense, have a 4-point lead.
And that's the thing about really good to great defenses is when they get a sense that their offense is struggling, they pick up the pace and create short field position, or in this case, they just score points themselves.
That'll be a touchback. Let's go back to the last touchdown.
And Bonifant forgets to locate the boundary corner. It's a classic blitz off the short edge to the backside of a right-handed thrower. Gary Peters gets to his target, creates a big play. It's just a mistake that the young quarterback hasn't seen that much. What you do, Anish, go into the line of scrimmage, you take a peek and see if he's giving me any indication that he's coming, and if so, I have to go to a hot outlet.
Peters has played very well over the last 3 weeks. On first down, Louisville keeps it on the ground, and at the 32-yard line is Dominique Brown.
And Louisville, in the meantime, just has to get back to business as usual. Get some semblance of a run game on early downs and funnel yourself to a third and makeable situation and just convert and keep it going.
Clemson showing blitz. The give is to Brown again, and he picks up a Louisville first down. That has been the formula for Bobby Petrino this season. It's been more about a bruising ground game than an air-it-out sort of offense that we've been used to with him.
And Lamar Atkins, a true fullback, is in the game, and he's doing a tremendous job of just covering up the first defender that shows and giving Brown running room up inside. Up inside is a difficult place to find some running room, typically against this Clemson defense. Not many offenses have done it this year.
4 seniors on that front line for Clemson, and that is L.J. Scott all the way up to the 46-yard line. It's a gain of 9 yards. Scott, the freshman from Marion, Ohio, just his 21st carry of the season.
And a two-back presentation with Scott inside and Dominic Brown outside. That's a pretty good combination.
Scott had been bothered the last couple of weeks by an ankle injury. Bonifant gives it to Brown, breaks one tackle, and Dominique Brown to midfield as he picks up a Louisville first down.
High degree of difficulty right there. That was actually a lateral. That was a backwards pass and could have been a disaster, but well executed by Bonifant right here. The fake inside, and then it's a run pass, option outside. That definitely goes backwards, essentially a pitch in that option game.
Bonifant will keep it. Clemson read it all the way, and he's dropped back at the 45-yard line. Again, with Reggie Bonifant, true freshman, third career start. He's a kid that's had a lot to deal with of late. He lost his father last month, and found out soon after his father's passing that he would be making his first career start, and won that game against Wake Forest and won at Syracuse the following weekend.
And Bobby Petrino really likes this young guy. He can spin it well, and the more he gets offensive reps, the better off he's going to be.
Bonifant steps up under pressure and gets out of bounds, and that's the reason he's starting this game and not the healthy Will Gardner, that dual threat ability.
Athleticism and plays with his legs, and you saw them both right there. This was a dead play. It's everything that happens after the design that is what makes this play by number 7, Bonifant. Will Gardner doesn't bring it to the table, number 7 does.
Louisville seeking its first third down conversion. And a penalty marker.
False start, offense, number 74, 5-yard penalty, third down.
That's the right tackle, Ryan Mack, who's making his 19th straight start. The offensive line has been inconsistent, to put it politely, for Louisville, which is a little surprising considering they returned 3 all-conference first-teamers.
A completely different scheme, and it's taken even the veterans some time to get ramped up to Bobby Petrino's way of thinking.
Louisville has to get to the Clemson 41. And I'm not sure they got the playoff.
Prior to the snap, delay a game, offense, number 7, 5-yard penalty, third down.
You can see Bobby Petrino right there is telling his young quarterback, you have to get in the huddle and get things going. That's the second penalty in a row that were pre-snap penalties that the crowd here in Death Valley is fully going to take advantage of, and they actually give themselves credit for the last 2 plays.
Three-man rush. Bonifant going downfield, throwing into double coverage. And that is going to be incomplete. Robert Smith made the interception, but was out of bounds.
And you talked about it. The 3-man rush means we're covering with 8. There was only 2 vertical routes down the field, and nobody was even close to open.
Oh, there's Brent Venables in the blue shirt, the purple shirt, the defensive coordinator and the linebackers coach for Clemson. Humphreys with a punt return touchdown today. Fields it inside the 10. Running right side, Humphreys driven out of bounds at the 13-yard line. A 55-yard punt. Clemson will start inside its own 15.
ESPN is your home of the new college football playoff.
Ashraf, Kelly, Stauffer, Cara Capuano, Clemson up 4 on Louisville. After that last punt return, there was a face mask penalty on Louisville, so Clemson with a bit of breathing room. That penalty on Gerald Christian. And the Tigers will start at the 27-yard line. Coming up on the SportsCenter U halftime report, Matt Schick and Kevin Carter will tell you the impact of the Deshaun Watson injury. He's out for this game with a hand injury. Georgia rolls without Todd Gurley, and more cowbells. I can only assume that relates to Mississippi State. Last check, they were rolling in Stark Vegas. Either that or the Bruce Dickinson. .313 to go in the first half. Cole Stout in the game at quarterback for Clemson. Stout on first down will hand it off. And that's Adam Choice for a gain of 4, his first carry of the game. Clemson just 12 total yards in the first half. And there's an injured player down on the field. Number 97, D'Angelo Brown, big D lineman for Louisville. He missed all of last year with an Achilles injury. While Clemson, the last 2 games, rolling on offense. Deshaun Watson in those 2 games accounting for 10 touchdowns. Today, only 1 first down. Neither team has converted a third down in this game.
The defenses have been as good, if not better than advertised, and the dysfunction that Clemson is experiencing because Deshaun Watson isn't playing. But that injury really set this team as a whole kind of reeling. The face or the stiff arm into the face mask of Sample, we believe, is where the hand was injured. He stayed in for this pass, and then it didn't feel right. You can see right there that ball didn't come out normally, and so he took himself out of the game. And we're being told we're not going to see him the rest of the day.
And with Cole Stout in, Louisville's MO on defense seems to be pretty simple. They're coming after the quarterback. Stout is not the runner that Watson is. Back to Choice. He ran into a roadblock at the 33-yard line. Looked like Malden on the tackle. Third down coming up.
James Sample was there again, and you want to talk about someone that will peel the paint off your helmet. James Sample coming down from that safety position is just like a human rocket.
Sample with an interception in this game. Louisville leads the nation in that category. Stout steps up under pressure, and he dives ahead, and they're going to mark him just short of the first down, so it's going to be 4th and 1.
It was a nice job by Cole Stout extending that play and getting outside the pocket, but I think he lost track of where the first down was. There was a little more room there. He didn't have to dive quite so early.
Louisville has just used its final timeout, so the Cardinals looking to get the ball back and maybe get points before halftime.
Check this out, Anish. Does Cole Stout have just a little bit more room? And again, his feet are not his strong suit. Does a nice job of stepping up in the pocket, sliding to the right. But right here, he probably got knocked to the ground a little bit, but I thought there could have been more of an effort to extend if you are aware of where that first down line is.
Oh, we've got you covered with college football all day, all night on ESPNU at 10:15. Air Force taking on Utah State in Logan. Utah State coming off a win against BYU last Friday night in Provo, and they are without their starting quarterback, no Chucky Keaton, so it's Darryl Garrettson getting the start for the Aggies. And Garrettson last week was named the Mountain West Conference Player of the Week. Bradley Pinion and the punting unit on for Clemson. James Quick, who lost one fumble on a punt earlier today, but it did not lead to Clemson points, is the deep man for the Cards. Good kick by Pinion. Here's Quick across the 20. Zigzags his way to the 30, and there is a flag back at the 24. Quick gets off the field.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Number 91 of the receiving team, 10 yards from the spot of the foul. First down.
Anish, I think that the result of that punt return was going to decide whether Bobby Petrino wanted to try to get something done or not. Short time, under 2 minutes, no timeouts left. If it was a decent return, I think Bobby Petrino would let Bonifant go for it. But the penalty, I think they're going to just take the air out of this and be really happy of their position at halftime.
Bonifant hands it off to Brandon Radcliffe. Bounces off one defender, gets to the 20-yard line. Second down, and it appears you're right. Louisville out of timeouts anyway. They run the ball.
And they're showing that they want to hurry up here. I don't know why they would want to. A lot of times, 2-minute situations are, you lead with the draw play, and if it's successful, you go for it again, but.
Oh, there it is. This time not successful.
I think Dabo Sweeney and Clemson may use a timeout here to at least force Louisville into a punting situation.
And you're right, Clemson just did.
Clemson. 30-second timeout.
The defenses on both sides have been outstanding.
We knew they were good coming in, and Malden chases Watson up in the pocket, and the sudden throw leads to Sample picking it off, and then an all-out assault when Cole Stout got in the game, and Malden once again. There's the ringleader, but Floyd brings it as well, and then Clemson just smothers the run, funnels you to third down, and then does this. They blitz the tar out of you. If my offense can't score, defense, you're up. They get it in the end zone right there. Clemson with an easy 7.
Well, you look at these numbers. 5 total sacks in the game, 3 total turnovers, only 7 first downs, and nobody's converted on third down. Both of Clemson's touchdowns have not come from the offense. There was one on special teams, and you just saw the one by the defense.
And the reality was, Clemson numbers weren't going anywhere with Deshaun Watson in the game against Louisville's defense.
Radcliffe has nowhere to go, and Clemson will use its final timeout. So the Tigers will get the ball back. Clock stopped with 1:11 to go.
Clemson, 30-second timeout.
And Clemson will still have one left. And Cole Stout has been around a long time. He's run a lot of 2-minute situations, obviously. Dabo Sweeney is probably setting up a punt block in there.
This Clemson team has won 21 straight games against unranked teams by double digits.
Have you ever seen a game where the mood and the tenor of the game changed as much as this one when Deshaun Watson went out? I haven't been a part of games that the complexion changed immediately, and it became about which defense was either going to score or put their offense in the most advantageous position, and I think that's what we're going to see in the second half as well.
Who makes the fewest mistakes? Which defense, which special teams can make the most plays? Clemson already has 1 punt return touchdown from Adam Humphries. He's waiting inside his own 45. Humphries lets this one bounce, fields it on a hop, and then scurries out of bounds close to midfield. So Clemson with a minute to go. Eamon Lacob has been inconsistent at times. He's the kicker, but Dabo Sweeney told us he's not afraid to let Lacob loose from beyond 50 yards.
His long is 45, but in this situation, why not? But Cole Stout has to get some yardage here to begin with, and it's been hard to come by. You can see right there, 2 for 6 for going the other direction and -2 yards.
Neither team has any timeouts. Stout chased, screen pass to Choice, gets a block. Choice across midfield, and he is out of bounds after a gain of 8.
That was a great play call, obviously anticipating the pressure that Louisville has been bringing on Cole Stout, and then throw the screen over their head.
And with less than 2 minutes to go in the half, the clock stops as Choice got out of bounds.
You see the field goal range there. They still need to make up some ground if they want Lacob to have a chance.
Stout rolling out, wide open Artavis Scott, and he gets out of bounds at the 35-yard line. It's a first down, a gain of 11. So from the 35, you're looking at about 52 yards for Lacob.
Bringing pressure on the quarterback, so change his launch point. Don't make him a setting duck, and Scott needs to be aware of his surroundings. There was a lot more yardage in that play.
Stout 3-step drop, again, near sideline, and that's the tight end, Jordan Leggett. And right now, Clemson.
We're talking about, what, roughly a 42-yarder right here. I think that's within Lacob's range.
You don't have any timeouts. Let me ask you this. Do you take a shot?
We might have an injured Louisville player on the Clemson sideline. And right there, it's actually Floyd.
Terrell Floyd, number 19. Louisville slightly shorthanded in that secondary. Tremaine Washington, a freshman from Miami, who rotated in at cornerback. He's out with a lower leg injury. He and Andrew Johnson would split the snaps at that left cornerback position. But with Johnson, I should say with Washington out, we've seen Reeves step into the starting lineup, and Terrell Floyd has seen a lot of time at corner.
And Floyd was the starter at corner a year ago for Charlie Strong's defense. You can see 19, and he just takes a hit right on the head of that shoulder, and you can see him go down right away. A lot of times that's called a stinger. Hopefully that's all it is for Terrell Floyd, number 19. But the physicality of a safety, but the ability with his feet to go outside and be a physical press coverage guy today against this deep receiving core for Clemson. Number 19 plays a solid role today.
First down, Tigers at the 25-yard line.
And Clemson had 17 yards coming into this drive. They have 30 so far on this one. Much better production on this drive.
Do you take a shot for 6?
I think you have time to still work the sidelines. Not necessarily into the end zone.
Pressure off the edge. Stout's pass over the middle. Hauled in by Mike Williams. And it's first and goal for Clemson. First catch of the game for Williams.
What a tremendous throw and catch. Mike Williams running the skinny post into traffic, secures the ball, but how about the throw by Cole Stout? It doesn't get much better than that. That was a narrow window. Very well done by both quarterback and receiver.
On first and goal, Stout throws the fade, incomplete, a lot of contact. Now we've got pass interference coming on Andrew Johnson.
Yeah, probably not called until the ball's in the air, and then that's pass interference by Johnson.
There is no foul for defensive pass interference. The ball was uncatchable. Second down.
And that's simply a judgment call, not a reviewable situation. But Cole Stout has to drop that into the back pylon like you're shooting it right down the chimney, and he threw that ball too far out of bounds.
Louisville looking to make a stand. They had a couple of big stands when Syracuse got close last week.
Take a look at this throw by Cole Stout, just trying to throw the fade into the corner of the end zone. Where does the ball land? Yeah, and the official up in the corner, the signal over the head is saying that's uncatchable. Right there by the pylon, the hand over the head means that ball couldn't have been caught, and I would agree with him. Cole Stout is an experienced quarterback. Drop it onto the pylon. Your receiver wouldn't have had a shot at that anyway.
Louisville's Keith Kelsey being helped off the field. Second and goal for Clemson. Louisville has not allowed a touchdown on defense in almost 15 quarters. Stout rolling to his right. In trouble. Can't get away, and it's third and goal, and the clock continues to run. Clemson out of timeouts. Clemson trying to hurry up. You can't spike it with less than 3, and that's going to be the end of the half.
Yeah, that's a penalty. You're exactly right, Anish. You were all over that. Less than 3, you can't perform a spike. They take it out of the hands of the clock operator.
It's an automatic 2-second runoff. They don't think you can get a football play out with 2 seconds.
Ball start. Offense. All the players do now become legally set. By rule, there's a 10-second rule off. No timeouts apply. Halftime.
What a big missed opportunity by Clemson. That was not very well executed in short time. You can see the game clock, and Williams is standing wide open in the back of the end zone. Cole Stout doesn't see him. Throw the ball away instead of getting caught in bounds. Not a very wise play by a veteran quarterback.
Let's go down to Kara.
Coach, Deshaun Watson is out for the rest of the game. Do you have anything else on his injury you can add right now?
Yeah, he broke a finger.
The offense finding success that first half was hard. What adjustments do you want to see that group make?
We got to get 11 guys to do our job. You know, they're a really good defense. You know, we're up by 4. We're lucky, but we can't play any worse offense. But we did get a little momentum right there. It's really unfortunate. Very, very, very poor job right there by all of us. We should have come away with points, but hey, you know, we're lucky to have the lead. We got to come out and play better second half.
Thanks, Coach. Anish?
That did not sound like a coach whose team has the lead. Dabo Swinney down, a starting quarterback out with a broken finger. It's halftime. Here's Matt Schick.
Wow, thank you, Anish. 14-10. Clemson, 165 yards of total offense combined between the two. 70 for Clemson.
Yeah, interesting.
Yes. It's been a wild year in college football. Wild return here. Adam Humphries. They're going to need more of this. Offense ain't getting it done. You need defense and special teams.
It's enough so far.
They've got 1 score apiece on D and special teams. Second half coming up.
Team Todd Gurley left, Todd Gurley right.
Most carries in a game by a Bulldog running back in the past 10 years. Grady Jarrett getting it done. Clemson's defense coming up with a score. They've needed it, up 14-10 at half. At the end of the first half, you saw them. They had an opportunity. Cole Stout, though, unable to get it going. Clemson fans still believing. Again, Deshaun Watson out for the rest of the game with a broken finger. In Cole Stout, they trust. Second half next.
You're watching the ACC on ESPN, about ready for the start of the third quarter in Death Valley. Clemson, despite 0 offensive touchdowns, has a 14-10 lead on Louisville in the first ever meeting between these two teams. Big story here, of course, Deshaun Watson, Clemson's quarterback, out for the game. He's got a hand injury. Dabo Swinney said it was a broken finger when he spoke to Cara Capuano, and Clemson offensively has been stymied by what was statistically the top-ranked defense in the country entering play.
Yeah, and Cole Stout is a sitting duck compared to the feat that Deshaun Watson brought to the table. So that changes the complexion of this game about as much as you can possibly change it.
Louisville has been dynamite on defense in the first half. Both teams, in fact, have been very good on defense, and this was the key play. Watson on a stiff arm, hurts his hand. He stayed in for one more play, then had to leave the game. He has not returned, and Cole Stout has been in all sorts of trouble for Clemson. That was Watson actually throwing an interception. Both defenses have been superb.
Yeah, and Louisville's defense is just teeing off, and then you see the pressure once again by Clemson. And I think that injury to Deshaun Watson really evened the playing field a bit. I think both defenses really like the way they were, where they're positioned, but I think the clock management at the end of that half by a 5th-year senior in Cole Stout left something to be desired.
Clemson missed a red zone chance late in that first half as T.J. Green returns the opening kick of the second half to about the 21-yard line. Let's go back to the end of the first half. Here's where Clemson messed up. About 15 seconds to go, and Cole Stout doesn't realize how much time is left and that he didn't have any timeouts.
Yeah, and what you have to tell yourself as a veteran player is, I have 1, I have 2, or I throw the ball out of bounds and line up and get 3 on the scoreboard. And Cole Stout just handled that completely inappropriately, and Dabo Swinney wishes he had that 3 on the board.
Wayne Gallman gets the call on first down, picks up just a yard, tackled by Malden, and it's 2nd down and 9 for Clemson. Offensively, the Tigers have had nothing against a Louisville defense that has lived up to the statistical billing it came in with. 4-man rush against Stout. He steps up, check down to Gallman, and he's erased right away by Keith Kelsey, the team's leading tackler.
Yeah, Kelsey doing a great job from his middle linebacking position of closing the gap on the outlet receiver that Cole Stout was rightly going to in Goldman.
Neither team has converted a 3rd down in this game. Clemson 0 for 7, Louisville 0 for 9. Stout, middle of the field, he wants Hopper. Contact with Kelsey, no penalty marker, and 3 and out go the Tigers. How about the middle linebacker on coverage?
Exactly, kind of a Tampa 2 type of coverage down the middle of the field, and that's exactly what Cole Stout did not discern. He thinks the middle is open so he can throw that post route, but lo and behold, look who's over top of it. The middle linebacker, Keith Kelsey, number 55.
Louisville told us first order of business against Clemson, eliminate the deep ball. They've done that in this game so far. Another punt for Bradley Pinion, takes a high hop, and quick, we'll watch it bounce out of bounds. Reggie Bonifant, the true freshman, making his third career start back on the field for Louisville. 4 of 12 in the first half. Let's check in with Carol.
Well, guys, I asked head coach Bobby Petrino for his assessment of Bonifant's first half. He said he's struggling, holding the ball too long, seeing things develop too slowly. Petrino wants to see his young quarterback make better decisions this second half.
Here's Radcliffe on first down, and he gets a yard before he's swallowed up. Again, both defenses have been outstanding. Louisville offensively made the decision to start Bonifant today because of his running ability. Will Gardner, who opened the season as a starter, was healthy and ready to go today. But Bonifant getting the start against this Clemson D. Bonifant hands this one off to Radcliffe. He's chewed up at the 35-yard line after a gain of 2.
Robert Smith is in the box once again as a safety, and that's what Clemson is doing. They're forcing Bonifant to try to find guys down the field, so they're sacrificing Robert Smith as a spinner into the box, a safety that comes late as the extra defender in run gap defense.
Clemson brings the blitz, and Bonifant is sacked. Ben Bolaware got to the quarterback, and it's 4th down for Louisville.
Brent Venables dialing up the pressure, and nobody slides out to take Bolaware. I mean, that was more of a protection issue than it was a blitz reality getting to the quarterback, and a lot of times that's what successful pressure defense is. Confusion, leave a guy unabated to the quarterback on that play.
Ryan Johnson on to punt it away. Here's Adam Humphries, who's taken one back for a touchdown. Humphries goes down at about the 48-yard line. Good starting field position for Clemson. Tiger football with 12-12 to go in the third. There's Gerard Holloman. His 7 interceptions lead the nation. Louisville has 1 pick in this game. They now have an FBS leading 13. That's been the story of the game. Offenses have done nothing. Both of these defensive played very well.
Yeah, Clemson, who's ready to take the field here, only 1 drive today, and get this, 1 drive over 25 yards. That was the one that ended the half when they had the snafu and didn't even get a field goal attempt.
Cole Stout in for the injured Deshaun Watson. There's Watson on the sideline. Left the game in the first half with a hand injury. Dabo Swinney told Cara Capuano before the half that it was a broken finger. Adam Choice starts in the backfield. Stout quick screen. True freshman Artavis Scott gets a block, springs ahead into Louisville territory for a gain of 5. 2nd down. It was Floyd on the stop.
No run game inside in the traditional sense, and without Watson in that quarterback run game, that's the extension to the run game right there. Just get the ball out quickly to that now screen game and see if you can get something going that way.
Scott in motion. Stout off play action. Middle of the field is open, and Humphries makes the catch. Takes a big hit from Holloman, and Humphries out of bounds at the 34-yard line.
Really well designed. Play action pass, and then there's a vertical route outside, and you can see Humphrey right in the middle of your screen. Humphries running what they call an over route. Very well executed by Clemson.
Adam Choice, the freshman, plows ahead inside the 30 of the 27-yard line. It's a gain of 4, 2nd and 6.
Yeah, Anish, I think Choice is in there because he's more of a downhill pounder. I think that's what's needed against this Louisville front, really front seven. They're so stout at the point. You got to have someone that can stick his nose in there.
Stout back to the screen game. There's the bubble. It's Jermon Hopper. And Hopper to the 25, a gain of 2, third down.
What was the quarterback zone read game with Watson in the game plan becomes the bubble screen outside with Cole Stout in the game plan.
On third down, here's Choice on the delay, and he is ankle tackled by Malden for a loss, and it's fourth down.
Deontrez Mount did a great job of coming in from his strong side linebacking position and just sniffing out that play. Watch him sliding down the line of scrimmage, number 48 right in the middle. Started out at kind of a defensive end position in their rabbit package, which is just basically a bunch of athletes on the line of scrimmage, and you say sick them and they go get the football.
That field goal line is where they can snap from, so Lacob in field goal range. 45-yard attempt. He's made 4 of his last 5 after some struggles against Florida State. Drills this one, Dabo likes it, and Clemson tacks on 3.
Oh, that was pure. You could hear that all the way up here. He hit that one flush.
Eamon Lacob matches his career high with a 45-yard field goal. And it's 17-10, Clemson.
Charlie, the demand on this network, it is increasing by the second.
It's crazy, huh?
And people are relying on it more than ever. We cover...
There's one low rate.
But since I retired,
ears, nose.
Do not have an offense.
Microtouch. Now you can too.
When it's time to get your groove back, get it back from head to toe with Microtouch.
Anish Shroff, Kelly Stauffer, Cara Capuano, Clemson freshman quarterback Deshaun Watson out for the game with a hand injury. The Tigers do not have an offensive touchdown in this game. There are 3 scores, a 45-yard field goal, a punt return for a touchdown, and a fumble recovered in the end zone. And Clemson, despite the struggles on offense, with a 17-10 lead on Louisville in the first ever meeting between these two teams that are now both in the ACC Atlantic. Radcliffe does not have a chance again. Vic Beasley made history in the first half. He was credited with a sack on what looked to be a design quarterback run. It looked like Grady Jarrett actually may have gotten there first, but Beasley credited with the sack, and he now has the most in school history, passing the late James Adams and Michael D. Perry.
The offensive line right there is actually blocking for a run, because that's what teams do. It's a run-pass option. But the third option is the quarterback running the ball, and I think that's what Bonifant was doing on that play. A record nonetheless.
Bonifant chased by Crawford, and that pass is a catch on that far sideline. Gerald Christian with the catch.
Now Louisville trying to go up-tempo a little bit, see if they have a little bit of momentum, see if that up-tempo process will work about against this Clemson defense when really nothing else has.
Bonifant 5 out of 13. Handoff is to Dominique Brown, and he plows ahead. It'll bring up 3rd and short.
Outside zone run play to Dominique Brown, and we're seeing less of Radcliffe and more of Brown, and to some extent it's just about, with Bobby Petrino, which of my running backs is the hottest running back, and Brown had some nice plays in the first half.
Brown with the lone touchdown for Louisville. That was a touchdown run, but both of these teams are looking for a spark on offense. On 3rd and 1. On the ground, and Louisville appears to be stopped shy of that first down marker. And if it's 4th down, and it is, neither team has converted a 3rd down yet.
Look at the penetration and then the slice off the edge right there. Goodson does a nice job of just sniffing it out, but to be quite honest with you, that wasn't very well blocked. It was a delayed handoff in the backfield on a type of counter, but you have to block the strong side linebacker or that play is going to be stuffed like it was. And Louisville just having issues getting the right personnel on the field for this punt. I think
clock
punting.
Running down.
Wow.
Delay a game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Yeah, punting is the right decision, I think, here by Bobby Petrino. But for crying out loud, get your punt team out there. And the head coach, Bobby Petrino, does not like giving 5 yards away.
Yeah, especially when you consider the tenor of this game. Field position right now is everything.
Oh, I totally agree. That is a great point.
Humphreys, fair catch signal, and he makes it at the 32. Following our game on ESPNU, East Carolina taking on South Florida, 7 p.m. Eastern on the U. Shane Carden, the ECU quarterback. He might be this year's Jordan Lynch. He might have a spot in New York with the numbers that he's put up, 400-plus yards passing in each of his last 3 games.
He had to take Hardy with him, his compadre, and that is a really, really fun combination to watch play.
East Carolina and South Florida in the American Athletic Conference, Louisville's old league. Cardinals were in that league for just a year. Bubble screen to Artavis Scott. That's Deshaun Watson's roommate. And Scott out of bounds, about a yard shy of the 1st down marker. Scott, a true freshman, part of the youth wave for Clemson. There were so many familiar faces. Taj Boyd, Sammy Watkins, Hot Rod McDowell, Martavis Bryant. They're all gone. Stout off play action. He's got Mike Williams, and Williams can't hold on. And that's going to bring up 3rd and 1. We have not called Williams' name much today. Only has 1 catch.
Yeah, credit the secondary in Louisville, and this should have been another catch. The play action invites the second-level defenders up, and you throw the skinny post in behind him, and that should have been a big play. Remember, Mike Williams dropped 3 balls against Georgia to start this year, lost confidence a little bit, but got it back and has been lights out the last few weeks. That was a big drop right there.
On 3rd down, Adam Choice. And do we have our first 3rd down conversion of the game?
I think they're actually going to be about a half a yard short. Actually, they got a good spot. Measure. Good spot by the line judge, I think. That right foot versus left foot thing. I never did figure that out. When the line judge is coming onto the field, it kind of is going to be decided by whichever foot he marks it with.
Here comes the chain gang. As it stands, Clemson 0 for 9 on 3rd downs, Louisville 0 for 11. 3rd downs have been a collective black hole here in Death Valley.
We just can't get over the hump. At the point of attack is D'Angelo Brown, 97, and he is a halt to move. Creates chaos in the middle, and then the compadres come flying in there as well.
Offense staying out on the field for Clemson. If they go for it, do you agree with the call?
I think Dabo Swinney is throwing the hammer down, but remember, the veteran quarterback knows what a hard count is. Do not overlook that right here if you're the defense up front.
And again, in shotgun, Clemson again is at issues with snaps under center. They call the play. Stout's going to keep it, and he's going to be stopped. Louisville football, turnover on downs. That was reminiscent of Florida State. Remember, you only need a yard, 4th and 1 in overtime from the shotgun, and Clemson unable to get the push.
And the difference is Deshaun Watson doesn't take snaps under the center, but Cole Stout has experience doing that. If you want to run a play like that, get your quarterback under the center, close to the line of scrimmage. You only need 1 chain link. Don't snap the ball 6 yards deep to get an inch.
We talked about this being a field position game with both teams struggling to score with their offense. Great field position for the Cards. And a penalty.
Timeout. Louisville. First timeout. Timeout on the field.
Timeout, Bobby Petrino. Louisville ball in Clemson territory. Bobby Petrino just used his first timeout of the half. He knows, given what Louisville has done offensively on the last 6 drives, with this starting field position, this is a critical drive in this football game. And Will Gardner is in at quarterback for the Cardinals. So Louisville making a quarterback change. Gardner opened the season as the starter, got hurt, was proclaimed healthy this week, but Reggie Bonifant got the start. Gardner fires over the middle, and it's too low. Intended target, Keith Tobridge.
Well, Anish, you know what Bobby Petrino told Kara coming out at halftime? The one thing he mentioned that you stick your flag in is that Bonifant was holding on to the ball too long. He didn't talk about the run game that has been anemic or any of those things. Holding the ball too long against Clemson's defense is not a good thing. Will Gardner has the experience to make quicker decisions in the pass game. That's why he's playing.
4-man rush. Gardner heaves it downfield, and that is incomplete. Intended receiver Eli Rogers. So 3rd down coming up. Louisville 5 of 15 passing as a team. Gardner 0 for 2. Bonifant was 5 out of 13.
Well, Will Gardner's about to be baptized in this game because this is the wheelhouse of Brent Venables, the defensive play caller for Clemson, and Vic Beasley, who comes off the edge in a heartbeat.
Brown split wide. Empty look on 3rd down and penalty markers.
False start, offense, number 74, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
That's the right tackle, Ryan Mack. 2nd time he's been flagged today.
Right tackle, where should he be looking at the snap? He should be looking in at the football because he can't hear anything. This crowd right now is getting amped up once again. That's actually the 3rd penalty, kind of a pre-snap administration penalty that this crowd here in Death Valley is actually responsible for.
Remember, Louisville started this drive at the Clemson 40. Dominique Brown was lined up at tight end on that play. Over the middle, wide open receiver. That's James Quick, and Quick's got a 1st down for Louisville. Finally wrapped up now the 25-yard line by Corinne Wiggins. It's a gain of 22.
And a 2-man route on the outside. First of all, decent protection, and then they drop coverage. It's kind of a route reading scheme in the secondary for Clemson, and Quick came inside, and both defenders jumped to the outside route, dropping Quick over the middle of the ball.
And that last play was the first 3rd down conversion of the game. A gain of a yard by Dominique Brown, 2nd down and 9.
But once again, with Will Gardner in the game, the quick decision in the passing game, Anish. He got that ball out on time because Vic Beasley was coming around the corner and forced Gardner up a little bit, and he had a receiver standing right in his grill.
Gardner won the job with an outstanding spring. Began the year as the successor to Teddy Bridgewater. Gardner steps up over the middle, wide open Eli Rogers, and Louisville is an extra point away from tying this game.
The same concept of the conversion that played before, just a little different presentation, but the same type of thing, attacking the coverage that's all about reading routes, and you really don't know who you have in the secondary until the route breaks. The middle receiver was dropped both times.
Extra point is good. We've got a tie game in Death Valley. It's Will Gardner providing a spark for this Cardinal offense.
You were talking about that, just kind of wondering if Will Gardner was going to get the call, and sure enough, and he gave a great lift. Let's go back and look to see how Eli Rogers got open. He's right here. He's going to run to the middle of the field, and look at the two defenders over the top. The slot defender needs to go with Eli Rogers in the middle, or the safety needs to come over the top. It's hard to discern which one was wrong, but I guarantee you one of them was, and the result was leaving number 6, Eli Rogers, wide open. That was way too easy.
Louisville began this drive at the Clemson 40-yard line after the Tigers went for it on 4th and 1 and were stopped. And of course, you want to relive any part of that scoring drive, you do it by using the SportsCenter app.
Well, remember the previous 5 drives, 4 punts and
probably
a fumble TD in the end zone by Clemson.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about those.
Not when the secondary for Clemson drops coverage 2 times in a row, making it pretty easy on Will Gardner.
TJ Green, a yard deep in his own end zone. Green across the 20, and finally brought down by Sample, just shy of the 30. Well, this was the key call by Dabo Swinney. On 4th down, he decides to go for it. Cole Stout stopped for a loss. Will Gardner enters the game at quarterback for Louisville. Hits a couple of big plays.
Wow.
They converted a 3rd down and 15 as well. And then Eli Rogers on the touchdown.
I don't mind Dabo Swinney going for it, but what I don't like is the play call. Snap it 6 yards deep to get an inch.
Stout off play action. He gets his tight end Stanton Seckinger, but Seckinger doesn't get very much. Keith Kelsey was all over him.
Kind of revisit once again what Louisville is doing defensively. Todd Grantham brings a pressure type of approach, an NFL complexity to it. Disguise things on the back end, creating hesitation by the quarterback. In the meantime, you're getting guys up front. Here's the bell cow right here. Lorenzo Molden, they have to find 94 wherever he lines up.
And he'll line up everywhere. Stout pressured by Molden, and that was nearly intercepted. He wanted Seckinger, but Charles Gaines was right there.
Gaines matched up on a tight end, and not even the top route running tight end in this group was Seckinger, just going down the sideline. That was almost a big play once again, and rest assured that the captain of Trash Talk, Charles Gaines, is going to let Seckinger know about it.
Clemson 0 for 10 on 3rd downs. Flag on the play, could be a free play, and it's incomplete.
Offsides, defense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Anish, that's the hard count that I was referring to earlier. Remember that Cole Stout is a 5th-year senior, so he needs to use that snap count to his advantage, because Louisville in the defensive front is just teeing off. You have to create hesitation on that side of the ball.
Stout on the run. And it's incomplete. Hopper made the catch, but he couldn't stay in bounds.
Jermaine Reeve ducks underneath that ball, and
that ball was tipped.
On the field is an incomplete pass. 4th down.
It's certainly going to be reviewed further, because Hopper looks like he has possession.
And that's the key. He makes the catch, but did he have possession? You need 1 foot in bounds.
Yeah, that right foot looked like it might have been coming off the ground. The right toe. Hold it right there for a second, guys.
The ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. That play is under further review.
I'm not sure we can really see it right there.
The ball was tipped by Jermaine Reeve, and here's what's important. The call on the field was an incompletion. And the question is, does he have control when we see that right toe on the ground? That might be a catch. That might be a catch.
I think the right toe gets back down after he's certainly has control of it. Remember, you have to take it all the way through a normal football play, which means in this case, to the ground out of bounds and show possession without it moving. And you talked about it, Anish, that how it's called on the field is so important because there's so many times when the cameras can't be everywhere, and so you don't get enough evidence to overturn the original call.
Let's see if this look gives us anything. Can't really tell from that angle.
The crown of the field right there was not doing us any favors. He doesn't have possession right there, I don't believe, because it bobbles a little bit right at the end, and then he turns.
Right there. Is that foot on the ground?
It's very difficult. Indisputable video evidence to overturn what's called on the field, and I don't know that I saw it was indisputable anywhere there.
It did look like on the tail end of that play, that foot does come down before the rest of his body, and that other foot goes out of bounds. If we can just get the tail end of that play.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands. Incomplete pass.
Again, if there is any doubt, it has to be indisputable. If there is any doubt, the play on the field will stand.
And that's that's exactly what we see. I don't think he has possession until he turns, and then the foot right there on the right foot, you can't tell if he drags the toe or not, so that's why it stands. And the people here are obviously not happy about it.
So Clemson still without a third down conversion. As that's fair caught by Quick at the 16-yard line, and the crowd not happy with the last review. Tonight at 10:15 out in Logan, Utah, it's Utah State taking on Air Force on ESPNU. Utah State coming off a big win last Friday against previously undefeated BYU.
And Air Force put the wood to Boise State earlier in the year as well, right?
Key matchup in the Mountain West. Will Gardner in for his second series at quarterback for Louisville. Gardner on first down the middle of the field and through the hands of Quick. He was covered by Mackenzie Alexander. Catchable ball, though.
Absolutely, that ball should have been caught, there's no doubt. Play action pass. Will Gardner got middle of the field open, meaning if I have a post, I need to drive the dagger in there, and that ball is certainly catchable. Great read. Not a great throw, but a catchable ball, and Quick could not come down with it.
Out of the eye on second down. Here's Brown, straight up the gut. And Dominique Brown is about a yard shy, maybe a half yard shy of that first down marker. So third and short coming up for Louisville.
Maybe the same play opposite side, and the fullback Lamar Atkins is in the game again and just roots out the linebacker, giving Brown room up inside. I would go back to the well one more time in this third and short situation. Keep an eye on the bruiser right there, doing a great job.
Back to Brown, back up the middle, trying to get through that line. And this will depend on the spot. It's going to be close.
There's the left foot, right foot again. I think you're right. I think he might be, instead of one chain link like Clemson was earlier, I think it's going to be two. I think he's going to be short by about 2 chain links.
Both teams a combined 1 for 23 on third downs today. Louisville now 1 for 13. Clemson 0 for 11. And it is short.
You did not go for it right here. Let's take another look at it. So hard to get real estate inside. Number 99, Deshaun Williams, does a tremendous job at the point of attack. And then there are multiple hats. That's the key. It's pad leverage and then multiple hats. And you can see our yellow line was pretty accurate right there.
The 19th punt in this ball game coming up, the 10th for Louisville. Good kick by Johnson. Humphreys retreats inside his own 20-yard line. He returned the first punt he fielded for a touchdown. And that was a 56-yard boom, and Humphreys brings it out to the 23. Let's take a look back with our Buick Drive recap. This is how Louisville was able to tie the game. 4th and 1, Clemson from inside its own 40, going for it. They don't get it. Louisville, great starting field position. James Quick on 3rd and 15 picks up 22. And then Will Gardner, who came into the game for Reggie Bonifant, finds Eli Rogers for a touchdown. All tied at 17, 3:09 to go in the third. Stout, near sideline. He's got the tight end, Jordan Leggett. Leggett lays the lumber on the defender as he gets out of bounds. Keith Brown felt that.
Yeah, Keith Brown needs to make a business decision right there. He comes up a little high, and Leggett, like you said, puts the wood to it.
Brown comes out of the game. First down, Clemson. Stout hit as he throws it. Wants Williams in traffic, incomplete. No flag. And he was covered by Charles Gaines. And let's give Gaines some credit. When he's been on Williams, he's done a pretty good job limiting Clemson's top receiver, who's now slow to get up.
Yeah, and he looks like he's dragging that left shoulder as well, that left arm. But Gaines does a very nice job. At that point as a defensive back, you have to understand the ball needs to be just as much yours as it is the receivers, and it just looks like Williams falls a little bit awkwardly on that play.
Choice in motion. Damari Kitt into the game for Williams. Stout gets rid of it, and that's knocked down by James Burgess. Stout's been lucky. He's made a couple of throws since he's come in for the injured Deshaun Watson that could have been picked off.
And what Stout needs to do is do a better job with his eyes. Keep your eyes as a quarterback down the middle of the field, and you stop those defenders in their tracks, and then they have to restart. Burgess never broke stride and got underneath that curl route.
Burgess had a big pick in the win against Wake Forest a couple of weeks ago. Louisville shows blitz. Here it comes. Clemson able to pick it up. Stout hit, finds Leggett for a first down, and Leggett taken down in Louisville territory. It's a gain of 18. Sample and Burgess were there to take him down.
DJ Du Bois is going to be a little late getting to Stout, but Stout did a tremendous job of standing in there, taking the hit, and converting to Leggett.
Quick screen. Artavis Scott gets a block from Hopper, but there is a flag way upfield at the 22-yard line. 2 flags.
Legal substitutions. Defense. 12 men on the field. Got penalties decline. Results of the play. Second down.
That up-tempo moment by Cole Stout in this Clemson offense caught Louisville defensively off guard, and they had too many guys on the field. Even the up-tempo is different with Cole Stout in there. He runs it just a little bit faster than the true freshman Watson does.
Stout hands it off to Choice, bounces to the outside, now cuts it back in, and Choice to the 30-yard line, tackled by Kelsey. It's a gain of 7.
It's a great job of bouncing it outside by Choice. Press the line of scrimmage and then bounce it to green grass to the left. That was a nice run.
A first down for Clemson. Going quickly. Choice again. In trouble, and Kelsey bear hugs him back at the 32-yard line.
Late developing plays, especially to the perimeter against Louisville's defense, really doesn't work that well because of the speed and athleticism, mainly by 94 and a bunch of others in that front 7.
Mike Williams back in the game. He was shaken up earlier on this drive. Another bubble screen to Artavis Scott. Gets a block from Seckinger. Finally tripped up by Burgess at the 24-yard line. 5th catch of the game for the true freshman, Artavis Scott.
If Chad Morris wants to get the ball to the outside as the Clemson play caller, that's the way to do it. Forget the perimeter run game and get it out there with the now screens and the bubble screens like we've already seen in this half.
C.J. Davidson, the best receiving back in on 3rd down. Stout, quarterback draw. And he is stopped right at the line of scrimmage. 4th down. And given the way this game is played out, you got to kick it here, don't you?
Yeah, and we already see Lacob coming on, and you're exactly right. I think this a defensive battle, which this game has become, you take points when you have a chance to get points, and that's what Dabo Swinney has elected to do right here if Lacob can put it through.
It's a 40-yarder for Lacob, who earlier in this game tied a career high with a 45-yarder. The junior out of Georgia. The hold, the kick, it's up, and it's good. As time expires in the 3rd quarter, Clemson with a field goal, and the Tigers take a 3-point lead into the final 15 minutes of regulation.
At the end of the 3rd quarter, if you're going to hit the upright, you might as well hit the inside of it. That's exactly what Lacob does. Nice ricochet. That guy deserves some bounces to go his way, and Dabo Swinney really likes that.
We got a good one in Death Valley. 15 minutes to go in regulation. It's the start of the 4th when we come back. Time for the start of the 4th quarter here in Death Valley. Clemson leading Louisville 20-17. And Ishraaf, Kelly Stauffer, Kara Capuano down on the field. The Tigers on offense have managed just 2 field goals. Defense and special teams contributing a couple of touchdowns. Louisville getting a spark in the 3rd quarter from Will Gardner, who came off the bench to lead a touchdown drive. And the big story in this game, Deshaun Watson, the freshman phenom for Clemson, going down with a hand injury in the first half. He is out for the game. Dabo Swinney said it was a broken finger. A key Louisville turnover led to Clemson defensive touchdown, and Eli Rogers tied the game at 17. Eamon Lacob added a field goal on Clemson's last drive for the difference.
Look at those 3rd down numbers. 1 for 13 and 1 for 13. Not many drives being extended here this afternoon.
Gardner will keep it on the move. And that pass batted down by Beasley. 2nd and 10.
They were rolling Will Gardner out to the left, and they were intending to throw it back to the tight end Christian running down the sideline, and Beasley just gets there and prevents it. I hope that Will Gardner was throwing this ball away, because the tight end Gerald Christian was doubled underneath and over the top. Nothing there in the way that play was designed.
Here's the blitz. Gardner gets rid of it, finds Quick, and Quick unable to spin away from the defender, Jaron Kearse. It's a loss of 2, 3rd and long. Kearse, the nephew of former All-Pro Javon Kearse.
Well, Anish, you talked about it earlier, about the ability for Clemson's secondary to tackle in space, and Kearse just absolutely engulfed that screen right there.
Here's the pressure. Batted down, nearly intercepted. That was Kearse again, and it's 4th down.
Well, Beasley was in the face of the quarterback Gardner, and this is almost a disaster. Beasley forces the high screen over the top, the high throw, and Kearse needs to just go up that and double-hand it like a receiver does instead of the one hand. He could have walked into the end zone.
Kearse at 6'4". Brings a lot of length on the back end of that Clemson defense. Now Louisville punting. Ryan Johnson's 11th of the game. Humphreys will have a chance here from inside his own 30. Humphreys across the 40, and a good return to the 43-yard line. A 13-yard return after a 49-yard punt.
ESPN is your home of the new college football playoff.
Clemson will begin from just inside its own 45-yard line. Cole Stout in for the injured Deshaun Watson, and he goes down. Sacked by Lozo.
Malden just overpowers his guy. You can see him down at the bottom of the screen, and it's kind of the fake outside and then up inside with speed. Lulled the tackle to sleep, and then it's a sprint to the quarterback up inside.
On 2nd and long, Stout intercepted. James Burgess with the big pick. The second of the day for Louisville and the 14th of the season.
And Burgess from that linebacking position once again runs out underneath the route. You can see 13 in the middle of the screen. It's really a Tampa 2 type of look. The middle linebacker is running underneath any route in the middle, and Cole Stout just does not see Burgess getting underneath that route.
Kelly, to run an effective 3-4, you need linebackers who can cover. Louisville has a few of those.
Yeah, no doubt. We've seen him make multiple plays today. The versatility that creates for the play calling defensively.
On 1st down, here's Dominique Brown. Bulldozers a defender to the 45-yard line. A gain of 7. Brown has really been the guy in the backfield in this game for Louisville. Brandon Radcliffe was coming off 2 100-yard games, but he was ineffective early, and Bobby Petrino riding the hot hand.
And this is where the offensive line for Louisville, in unison with Dominic Brown, they need to get it lathered up. Put the game on your shoulder, run the football effectively. That creates more room in the pass game as well.
And a flag on the play.
Ball start, offense, number 53, 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
That's Jake Smith, the first-team all-conference selection in the AAC last year.
And I think that's the 4th penalty, as far as I can count, that I credit to the crowd noise here in Death Valley. That's 20 yards worth of production for this crowd here this evening.
Value in decibels. On 2nd and 8, 3-step drop. Michael Lee Harris able to hang on to it back of the 45-yard line. So Louisville gets the 5 yards back. And 3rd and short coming up.
And Harris just runs a slant route inside, throttles it down a little bit. A good feel for where the softness was, and Gardner has a good feel of how to put it on it. Vic Beasley is not on the field currently.
And movement up front.
Ball start, offense, number 61, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
That's Tobiah Yulee, and that is the 10th penalty against Louisville. That's been a problem all season.
On that 3rd and less than 4 was probably earmarked to be a rundown, and Beasley was not on the field, but this is a pass down, and Beasley is still not out there.
Three-man rush, Gardner's pass caught over the middle, and Bolaware makes the big tackle on Christian, and it's 4th down, and a decision coming up for Bobby Petrino.
You know, I think with Bobby Petrino right now, it's more of a feel. I like the way my quarterback is decision-making right now. Bobby Petrino could very well go for it right here, and it looks like he's going to. It's all about number 11's decision-making. As a play caller, if I like the way my trigger puller is doing it, this situation is tailor-made to go for it.
And still no Vic Beasley. Crawford and Lawson, the 2 ends for Clemson.
And they're big as if they're going to run it, but alert play action right here.
Christian in motion. It's a run. It's Brown. Breaks the first tackle. Lunges forward. Ball squirts loose, but he was already down. And it looks like he's going to be short.
I think he's going to be short by a half yard. I don't condense things offensively against Clemson's defense right now. Spread it out is your best chance. 4th down right there.
A big stand on 4th down by the Clemson front. A 3-point game in Death Valley.
Matt Chick here in the studio with an update. North Carolina was down 35-26, but they've battled back. Quinshad Davis to Marquise Williams, the quarterback. He's got a touchdown pass, a touchdown rush, a touchdown catch. UNC up 1 as they begin the 4th, and each.
Upset watching that one. Stout finds Artavis Scott, and he is wrapped up immediately. Let's go back to the big 4th down call by Bobby Petrino. Decides to go for it, and it's the give to Dominique Brown.
And look at the color that he sees there. Makes him cut back into the crowd. Bolwell right there. Grady Jarrett is going to blow up that play, but what you have to do as a running back is understand how much you need. Press the line of scrimmage, and even if you cut it back tight.
That's Adam Choice, pushes ahead to the 48-yard line. It's a gain of 6. Well, if you're Bobby Petrino, that call, how much is it predicated on having faith in a defense that hasn't given up an offensive touchdown in 16-plus quarters?
I think it has a lot to do with it. Not only does Bobby Petrino like the way his defense is playing, when you go on the road to win a game, you have to take chances like that.
Stout wanted Leggett. It hit the defender in the chest. And there's a Louisville player down on the field.
I think it might be Charles Gaines, and that's the one that was hit right in the chest with the football. If he would have been paying attention to the ball as opposed to Leggett, the route runner, he might have been standing in the end zone right now. Charles Gaines has had a great day today. Cole Stout is going over there the entire time, and that was actually deflected by the left hand of Jordan Leggett, and very difficult to catch ones like that.
Kelly, in this day and age of high-powered offenses, we don't often see games with 21 punts, but this is the 21st punt of the contest. And Quick makes the fair catch at the 16. Louisville, no harm, no foul after the missed 4th down call. They get it back. Celebrating its 10th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. To date, Allstate has contributed more than $3.4 million in scholarship funds. A real opportunity for Bobby Petrino in Louisville. In its first season in the ACC, the Cardinals with a chance to make a statement here in Death Valley. Down 3 with the football. Coming up on 9 minutes to go in the 4th. Off play action, that's Dominique Brown, and he's driven out of bounds by Jaron Kearse. And Brown picks up a 1st down for the Cards.
Well, Bobby Petrino's play calling has been a snoot full of 1st down runs. So what does Bobby Petrino do? Play action pass off of that run, move the quarterback, which is very important against this Clemson defense, and get the ball out in the flat to Christian.
Brown in the backfield, Christian with that last catch. Brown gets the call, the ball comes loose. And it appears Louisville has covered it up.
I think Brown and Gardner right there are talking about what happened. Brown didn't like the way that ball was seated into his belly. And it might have been a little high. You have to hit it below the shoulder pads, more around the navel area. You don't want the ball bouncing off of the shoulder pads on that handoff. That was a little high by Gardner.
That was the 19th fumble of the year by Louisville. They're lucky to recover it. And on 2nd down and 9, nothing going on there. Ben Boulware the stop, and it's 3rd down.
You notice Boulware has had himself a game today.
He has.
Tony Stewart is a very valuable player. Tweaked the hammy last week against NC State, and Boulware has played in his stead, and man, has he had himself a game. He's been everywhere.
Here's the blitz. Gardner gets rid of it. The catch is made. And Quick tackled immediately by Peters, 4th down.
Picture perfect 3rd down defense by Clemson. Bring pressure and force a throw earlier and a route shorter than allows you to convert. Clemson gets off the field. Very well done by Brent Venables' defense right there, in particular 26, making the sure tackle to finish that play.
Another punt coming up for Ryan Johnson. Humphreys fields it, and it's a fair catch. I did not see a penalty marker. The crowd wanted one. And Clemson gets it back with 6:58 to go. Who's going to break first? We're shaping up for an exciting finish here in Clemson. All right, thanks, Matt. Back here, Clemson and Louisville, a 3-point game. Artavis Scott with a 5-yard catch on first down for the Tigers. And really for Clemson, they have not gotten much out of the offense, just 2 field goals. While Louisville defensively, Todd Grantham has drawn up an almost perfect battle plan.
And he has the perfect guys executing, and his side of the ball has played extremely well here this afternoon.
Here's Choice on 2nd and 5. He's got a bit of a seam, and Choice down to the 44-yard line. It's a first down for the Tigers.
Grantham has just done a very good job of his defense shutting down the run and then getting after the passer, and that's been much easier without Deshaun Watson in the game in terms of his dual threat ability, but his defense has played extremely well. Important drive right here.
Choice burrows ahead for a gain of 3, and Clemson going quickly on that last play. Still 6+ minutes to go. Louisville with 2 timeouts. Clemson with 3. If you're the Tigers, do you start to maybe slow things down?
Yeah, I would think that would be the order of the day. We're under 6 minutes now, and Louisville has 2 timeouts, but you would think that Clemson would want to take a little air out of this football.
Stout, another bubble screen to Artavis Scott. That's been a go-to play, and Scott picks up a Clemson first down, a gain of 7. 9th catch of the game for the freshman.
And Scott got the first down, but he also did a very good thing by just staying in bounds right here at the end. So the clock will run when they get the chains moved, but pretty heady play by the youngster.
Louisville's defense has been superb this afternoon. Can they get another stop? And that's Choice straggling the defender across the 40 for a gain of 7.
Malden is being blocked outside right here, and it's leaving this gap, and there's a late fill out of the secondary. Sample is supposed to be in that gap, and he's just a little bit late. And the difference between being on the line of scrimmage for almost no gain and being a little late is 4 or 5, 6 yards in a conversion by Clemson's offense.
Coming up on 4.5 to play. Louisville in its last 3 games has not allowed a point in the 4th quarter. Clemson bleeding the clock. Choice skirts through across the 35-yard line to the 33. It's a gain of 7.
This Clemson offensive line has looked like a different animal on this drive, and so many times when it's a deciding drive in a game, those guys up front have so much pride in what they do, and they're just getting after it right now up front for Clemson.
Kelly, is Louisville fatigued? We know how good the defense is, but it's not exceptionally deep.
Yeah, they really don't play many guys. That's a great point, and it looks like right now the way this offense for Chad Morris's team out there is getting lathered up front, it looks like the guys up front have a little less starch than they have earlier in the game.
Play clock down to 1, and now a whistle. Dabo Swinney got the timeout.
Clemson. 30-second timeout.
Following our game on ESPNU, it's East Carolina, the highest ranked team from the group of 5. ECU going to Tampa and Raymond James to take on South Florida. This is an ECU offense that's top 5 nationally in total offense and passing yards per game.
You know, what would their season be like, East Carolina's, if they would have played a little bit better in the second half against South Carolina. They had every right to win that game.
They would be undefeated with wins against South Carolina, Virginia Tech, and North Carolina. And as some of these major conference teams start to drop from the ranks of the unbeaten, they'd be knocking on the door. Second and 3, Kelly, for Clemson, and this game is going to come down to whether Clemson's offense has enough push to move the chains, and if Louisville's defense can come up with yet another stop.
Well, Dabo Swinney has to be really excited about the way his offensive line has played on this drive in particular. Getting great movement up front, and you talked about it, maybe a tired defensive front for Louisville.
Adam Choice has given this run game a spark here in the second half. There's the screen. Scott has a first down and more inside the 20 before he's run out of bounds by Kelsey, a gain of 12.
And that's where some of the fatigue up front for Louisville is coming from. This is an extension of the pass game. You ought to complete 100% of those, and then it's just a run game. Guess who's chasing Scott outside? All of those big guys on the defensive line of scrimmage. That takes its toll, and it seems to be doing that right here.
Scott with a career-high 10 receptions now. Clemson again letting the clock run. Louisville with 2 timeouts.
Don't be surprised if you see same play top side right there where Scott just flipped the formation.
Play clock down to 5, down to 4. Here's Choice. Choice to the outside, and he's bumped out of bounds inside the 10. First and goal, Clemson.
It's the now screen outside, and then it's the traveling zone inside. If the defense over-responds to the screen outside, then Cole Stout, with his experience, is going to the zone run to the opposite edge.
And Clemson will continue to let the clock run. Louisville need to get a stop on a play before he can use that timeout, but time running out on the Cardinals. Clemson letting the clock run low. Back to Choice, reaching for the end zone, and he's going to be just shy. It'll be second and goal.
Once again, the offensive line for Clemson just sealing things up. You can see a hat on a hat up front, and does Scott get in the end zone? I think you're right. I think he was just a little bit short, but what an effort to extend right there, and Choice, I mean.
High snap, the give is to Choice. He's dumped behind the line of scrimmage, but flags on the play. And also a player down for Louisville, it's Burgess.
Illegal substitution. 12 men on the field on the defense. Half the distance.
Let's check in with Matt Schick in the studio.
Second down.
Thanks, Anish. Coming up, there's Shane Carden and the top 10 scoring offense in all the land. 9th most in FBS. Right now, 3 straight games with 400 passing yards and 3 touchdowns for Carden. East Carolina, USF. 13 minutes from kick here on the U.
Second and goal. Clemson can ice it with a score here. A touchdown. We've seen a lot of Choice. He gets the call again, and he's got nowhere to go. Louisville's defense steps up, and the Cardinals will use their second timeout of the half.
Webster's trying to pull right there from the right side, but Du Bois just beats him to the punch. Du Bois was actually supposed to be kicked out by Reed Webster, and then the running back was supposed to get up inside, and Du Bois just got there a little bit too quickly.
Kelly, these short yardage situations have been a problem for Clemson this season, and a lot of that is they're not comfortable taking that snap from under center. It's something Chad Morris told us a couple of weeks ago. Again, second and goal, not very far to go. You back it up into a shotgun, and it's a big loss.
Yeah, and I agree with that point. And the second point is this. I don't like movement type of run plays up front. Webster was pulling from the right guard position and was going to kick out the left defensive end in Du Bois. And there's too much quickness on the line of scrimmage and tight spaces down here in the short yardage goal line situations. success on this drive has come just running it right behind in a zone type of scheme behind the offensive line that's doing a tremendous job of sorting things out on this drive.
Louisville has been phenomenal with its red zone defense this season. Only 5 red zone touchdowns in 16 attempts. On 3rd and goal from the 6, it's Choice once more. Choice trying to get to the outside, and Sample tracks him down. 4th and goal. And Louisville uses its final timeout.
And it's interesting, Anish, Louisville uses its final timeout because harken back to the start of this second half when Bobby Petrino burned a timeout on 1st down. I'm not exactly sure if it was a substitute situation or his personnel didn't match the play call, but how valuable is that timeout now?
Let's check in one more time with Matt Schick. All right, Matt, 1:28 to go in regulation here in Death Valley. Clemson nursing a 3-point lead. It's 4th and goal. Both defenses have been fantastic for the duration. Clemson, in fact, does not even have an offensive touchdown in this game. Both teams started with true freshmen at quarterbacks. That narrative has changed. Deshaun Watson got hurt for the Tigers. Cole Stout came in. Reggie Bonifant ineffective for Louisville. He was replaced by Will Gardner. 21-yarder for Eamon Lacob. In his first year as the starting kicker at Clemson, he's had his ups and downs, even on short kicks. The snap, the hold, the kick is good. Third field goal of the game for Lacob, and Clemson has a 6-point lead. Louisville still has a chance with 1:24 to go. If you're just joining us, the big story in this game, Clemson's freshman quarterback, Deshaun Watson, who didn't really play well when he was in the game, got hurt, left the game with a hand injury. Clemson's defense forcing a turnover. It was recovered in the end zone by Grady Jarrett for a Tiger touchdown. Eli Rogers with a touchdown to tie for Louisville. Adam Choice coming up just short for Clemson on their last drive, which was capped by an Eamon Lacob 21-yard field goal. And it's 23-17 Louisville. And those 3 points that Lacob just tacked on, the first 3 Louisville had given up in the 4th quarter in the last 3+ games.
And remember how the first half ended with the time snafu by Cole Stout that they should have had another 3 on the board. But on that drive, if you can't get in the end zone, at least get 3, which Clemson did. But they burned 5.5 minutes and didn't leave Louisville with a whole lot of time and no timeouts at this point.
Corvin Lamb not back deep. He's injured. Radcliffe and Gaines the deep man. Gaines took a kickback for a touchdown last year. Radcliffe a 62-yard return last week against Syracuse. Here's Brandon Radcliffe. And he doesn't even get to the 20-yard line. Louisville out of timeouts. 80+ yards to go. 1:20 here in their first ever trip to Death Valley.
And Louisville's going to have to throw the football, and Will Gardner does not have the mobility that Bonifant does, and this is Vic Beasley time right here.
Will Gardner also doesn't have Devontae Parker, Louisville's top receiver. There was thought he could play this week. He practiced, but was a no-go come game time. Beasley coming off the edge. Gardner with time, finds Quick. Quick breaks free. James Quick into Clemson territory. Nobody in front of him. And J-Ron Curse with a touchdown-saving tackle for the Tigers.
When chunk yards have been hard to come by Louisville's offense, they get one right here. And a defender was breaking on the ball, was Robert Smith, and he slips down, and Quick ends up just with green grass in front of him. What an effort play by Curse to not allow Quick to get in the end zone.
And now Dabo Swinney wants to talk things over with 64 seconds left. Quick with an 83-yard catch, and Curse saved the touchdown.
And this was actually pretty well defended. But you're going to get this defender comes over the top and just slips down, and it leaves Quick in that void, in that fade zone right there. It was a poor angle by number 27, Robert Smith, but he also slipped down in the end as well. Will Gardner likes plays like that. It's been few and far between in terms of those chunk plays, and you need chunk plays this day and age against the college football defense.
It was a gain of 73. Gardner has provided a spark here in the second half for Louisville and Bobby Petrino's team. They'd be sending a loud message to the ACC if they can come out of Death Valley with a win.
Remember now, we're talking about a Clemson defense that doesn't allow a whole lot of people in the end zone either. Louisville has to find a way to finish this drive. They need a touchdown. 3 doesn't do them any good.
On first and goal, Gardner underneath over the middle, and that is caught at the 1-yard line. Kai De La Cruz with his first catch of the game. Louisville out of timeouts. From the 1. Dominique Brown in the backfield. Gardner, the give to Brown. He's turned away by the Clemson defense. And it's 3rd and goal.
3rd and goal, and they have no choice, does Louisville, but to hurry up and call a play right here.
And Gardner will spike it, and this ball game will come down to 1 play.
Not a bad decision. They were going to burn so much time trying to get a play off, and then is it the right play after all of that? Not a bad decision by Gardner to spike it, and Bobby Petrino made the decision, let's take it down to 1 play to win it.
Let's go back to that 2nd and goal play. Dominique Brown stopped by DJ Reader initially.
Vic Beasley was there as well.
There.
Boulware, who's had a tremendous game, but Vic Beasley typically is a speed rusher that you want to run at. He made a tremendous play in run defense there.
What's the call here on 4th and goal?
I believe you have to get your quarterback, Will Gardner, outside the pocket and give him multiple receivers and the potential to run it if he needs to. Not his strong suit, but I still like the call.
It comes down to this. Gardner rolling to his right, on the run, throws, incomplete, and Clemson holds. There are penalty markers after the play.
I think it's celebration, and I don't blame him. We talked about getting Will Gardner outside the pocket, give him a run-pass option with the run not being high on the list.
Number 3, he took his helmet off. Half the distance. First down.
We talked about this, Anish. Get your quarterback, Will Gardner, outside the pocket. Running it isn't his strong suit, but you have multiple receivers in the end zone. But how many orange defenders do you see in that screen? Very well defended, and what a way to end this game. It should end on a really good defensive stand.
If I would have told you Clemson would not score a single offensive touchdown in this game, did you think the Tigers would have had a chance to win?
I would ask you if Deshaun Watson was in the game or not. But you remember, Deshaun Watson didn't
play
solve
well.
this defense either early. Tremendous job on both sides of the ball defensively.
Stout's going to sneak ahead for a little bit of breathing room. Louisville out of timeouts. And Clemson survives a scare here in Death Valley. A hard-fought game. Louisville and Bobby Petrino made a statement. They're players in the ACC. They showed up in Death Valley. They were not intimidated and had a chance to win, but Dabo Swinney's team found a way at the end.
2 great defenses that had to withstand some moments of intrepidation on the offensive side of the ball, and they played very well.
For Clemson, it's the Tigers' 32nd straight win at home against an unranked team, and it's got to feel good for Cole Stout. He lost his starting job came in for the injured Deshaun Watson. He was steady in that second half, and he made some key plays to extend drives. Artavis Scott, a big factor in the receiving game, and Adam Choice stepped up in the running game late.
Yeah, I think what you said about Stout is steady. I think that might be the perfect word, and that's what you saw. He's not going to make egregious mistakes, but he's also taking the quarterback run game away and setting it on the table. But that's all they needed with the defense that was playing right now for Clemson.
The coaching staff told us after Stout was demoted, it was tough for him initially. He had waited his turn at Clemson, but he did everything right after that. He said, I'll show up to the meetings, I'll watch the film, I'm going to do the work. And he's a part of this team, and Cole Stout gets a terrific moment as a senior as Clemson knocks off Louisville in a thriller in Death Valley. Our final score, the Tigers 23, the Cards 17. Now out we go to Tampa, Florida, and Raymond James Stadium, East Carolina, and USF.